Hello. Thank you for listening to the first episode of our new podcast. I'm Scott Ecker.
I'm Chuck Crane.
And I'm Erik Brodsho.
And Chuck, you had the idea for doing this podcast based on how much, we wanted Amazing Spider-Man 2 to fail on Facebook, right?
Yes. Yeah, we had it, built in the lead up to it. That was the narrative. We wanted it to bomb. We wanted the critics to shit on it. I wanted to shit on it.
Yeah.
And for the most part, it's all come true, so that's good.
But the one thing that was clear after we saw it was that we just needed to get together and just shit on it together.
Yeah.
Because it deserves it. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Just a few things to just point out that seem obvious. A lot of spoilers in this. It wouldn't matter if you see the movie because it doesn't make any sense anyways. Yeah. But spoilers from here on out.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, why are you listening?
And if you are going to see the movie, why are you going to see it after this?
That's an even better point. Yeah. Truth be told.
And also, we are not critics. This is not proper criticism. We're just fans, just bitching, because that's what we do.
Hell yeah.
This is just a sin. This is a cinema sin.
Yeah.
Perpetrated by a variety
Sony
of
Pictures. I lay it at Sony.
Yeah,
okay.
That's definitely,
First and foremost, they are the ones at fault.
Yeah.
And now we're going to go through their sins in detail.
Yeah. So we had...
There's a lot of them.
There are. We had extremely low expectations beforehand. I've been hating on this since I saw the first one, which I thought was so overrated. I don't get
and
it.
I didn't see the first one until last night when I saw about an hour of it before I went to bed. Mm-hmm. And I just didn't see it at all.
Because it lulls you to sleep.
It does. I saw it twice in theaters. I'm pretty sure I dozed multiple times.
I think I even own that movie, but it's just for the sake of owning it, not necessarily for the fact
that is something you do. You
I
do
just
that
like
to
having
yourself.
superhero movies.
Yeah. They look good on a shelf together.
Yep.
So, this movie, it starts off with Richard Parker, because the main character of these Spider-Man movies is Peter Parker's dad.
Yeah.
Well, that's because it's a mystery box movie. This is...
Which no one cares about.
They decided that in order to make Spider-Man interesting and relevant, they needed to just take something out of J.J. Abrams' book and just make a mystery that no one gave a shit about. The mystery is the mystery itself.
Well, and it's making it up as they go along.
Also
Chris
which is
Carter
also
effect,
classic Abram.
Yeah.
And Chris Carter. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's the ultimate... It's the X-Files and Lost, just... People taking the wrong lessons from both of them.
Yeah, horribly executed.
Yes.
Yeah. And Richard Parker is his dad, who I just want to point out that in the first movie, Irfan Khan, who plays Adult Pi in Life of Pi, is in it. Yep. And then there's a tiger in Life of Pi named Richard Parker, and
Yeah, see, I didn't make that connection. I thought it was interesting how his name was Richard Parker.
Yeah.
Because I thought, is that a reference? Because, that's something from history. Yeah. Which is that for some reason, there's coincidentally, over history, there have been multiple, people being, in shipwrecks who end up eating cabin boys named Richard Parker. Which is why in Life of Pi, the tiger is named Richard Parker, because it's ironic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, Peter's parents, that comes from the comics, kind of, where they were spies, but it was never part of the foundation of the Spider-Man
that's
story.
Actually in the comics?
Yeah. Spider-Man Annual, I think... 4 or 5 is 8 years into the run, and Stan Lee, need a new story.
Okay.
But it was very well established who, Peter Parker was.
Well, and here's and just because it's relevant to what is the driving force behind both of these movies, has there ever been a point in this history of the comic books where what happened to his parents was the driving force of Spider-Man himself?
No, it's always Uncle Ben.
Yep.
There was an arc in the 90s where, the chameleon cloned his parents or something. Or they came back as robots, I think.
Yeah,
and then, he thought they were really his parents, but then found out they were robots, and they died, and that, it was never referenced again, I don't think, though.
Was that, the shitty, Richard and Mary Parker Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. story? Or was that a different one?
That might have been an amalgam story.
No, that was a real...
Yeah.
Okay, really?
That was... There's a cover, and it's pretty widely shit upon story arc, and it has Richard and Mary Parker. The cover of it's Richard and Mary Parker, and it says, Richard and Mary Parker, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, I think that's it, but the point is, like, it's forgettable, and when you see, like, lists of greatest Spider-Man stories, it's not even close.
Definitely,
it gets shit on.
So why, why are they drawing from that?
The whole point of these characters is that they weren't a part of his life. That's it. That's the beginning and the end of it. But for some reason, because I know we said we weren't going to bring up the original trilogy, but
just to point out, off before we started recording, we talked about how we don't want to compare this to the Raimi movies because it should stand on its own.
I bring it up because it's like they wanted to distance themselves from that because that was more traditional. Mm-hmm. That had already been done, so they needed a different way to make his origin interesting, and their idea was to have it be that there was something mysterious about his dad. And vaguely having to do with Oscorp, and that would eventually just bring everything together.
And I think in their mind, it was like, all right, we're going to do this so we can build up Oscorp to really be this organization having so much to do with Spider-Man and all this stuff that it makes logical sense to have Oscorp in there instead of it just being like, oh, hey, my buddy's dad runs it. But it's like, the way they've done it, it's still just like, all right, you didn't need to do it. We would have taken it.
Yeah. Well, they complicated it so they could try to have a story that was complicated.
Which is most of these movies. I mean, out of all the superheroes, I'd say Spider-Man is the most accessible. Like, his villains, you can take at face value. But here, they're intertwined in weird ways. We haven't talked about Spider-Man at all yet. Seems like we're talking a lot about Richard Parker, but that opening scene takes forever.
It does. Okay.
It's not a bad scene.
What year is this taking place in?
It had to be, what?
He was 7 right, when they dropped him off?
7 or 8, yeah. And then...
because it's 10 years later.
Yeah.
It's
about 7 or 8, I guess.
Yeah.
So...
But no, I think it said 14 years later, actually.
14, yeah.
I thought that was
so
the
maybe
title.
he was like 3 or 4?
Yeah,
well,
that kid looked.
But he wasn't. Yeah. He didn't look 3 or 4 though either. That was. I don't know.
What 7-year-old in like the late, like the early 2000s, late 90s or whatever vague period is still playing hide and seek with his dad? Yeah. Like at that point, it's just Nintendo or nothing.
yeah.
So I could buy a 3-year-old playing because yet again I just saw the first one, and that's how they decide they need to go on the run. It's because someone ransacks Richard Parker's office.
Yeah.
Doesn't want it to
and then they go on a plane.
They go on a plane.
Where did you guys expect Bane to break into that?
That's what this was. They're just like, hey, Nolan did it. It can work for us too.
Bane without the interesting things.
Yeah, he's just some Oscorp stooge that infiltrated the flight crew. Mm-hmm. And you said what you were gonna say.
I was gonna say the thing that really, really bugged me about that whole thing. You know the part where Richard Parker essentially knocks that dude out for a little bit?
Yeah.
Instead of using that time to take that dude's parachute, grab his wife, grab onto her, and get out, he has to go back and upload his shit to his fucking
Sony computer.
That airplane, at like that point in time, had the capability
Wi-Fi.
It was a wired connection. There was a wired connection.
Okay.
Yeah, because they didn't have Wi-Fi in the plane, but the plane apparently had some sort of satellite connectivity. Apparently,
but if we're going by the fact that would be like what 2004, if we're doing like 10 years,
2000. I'm not sure.
So I mean,
1998 maybe.
Yes, feasibly they could have had wired connections, but still, that's. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. But also, so there's clearly a Sony logo on this laptop that Richard Parker was trying to save.
That's a given, though. That's a given.
Well, but there's a lot of symbolism in that, in a Spider-Man movie trying to save something with the Sony name on it.
The bio is the way
Sony, don't die. We need you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mary Parker, the Peter's mom, by the way, is played by the good teacher from Matilda,
which I didn't even know
out.
Incidentally, she's also one of Hank Moody's many conquests in Californication.
Really?
Yeah, she's the British wife of when he's teaching at the school.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Totally
you're
gets
right.
that. Because never mind. But yeah,
we've got a lot large crossover.
The Dean's
audience
wife,
Dean's wife. Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so that's the opening scene. It's really inconsequential, to be honest.
They're just like,
it's
now
all right
we have
action.
to show them how, like, we showed them running away, now we're going to show you how they die, and now it's time to take you back to Spider-Man.
Which, this opening scene, like, with Spider-Man, is one that I actually liked.
Me too.
People were like, for the first one, like, oh, the humor's so much great, he's funny finally. I didn't like the jokes. I thought he came across as a jerk. The sarcasm didn't work for me.
Yeah, like, just as an example, like, the thug that who's, like, in the car with.
Yeah.
And he's just, like, this dude is genuinely, like, scared. You know, like, you'd think, like, Batman was roughing him up. But no, it's just this punk kid who's just, like, shooting his crotch with webs.
Yeah.
You know, and stuff. And he's just toying with this guy unnecessarily.
Yeah. But this opening scene with the rhino chase had some good humor. Like, I like the rolling down the window and the, you know, hey, call me Spider-Man, call me Spy, don't call me late to dinner. Like, it was actual good comedic timing.
Yep.
But also with this scene, like, Spider-Man moved differently. Like, a lot more free, and the way he, like, was webbing up the plutonium vials or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
trying to collect them all, and like, getting them to stick to his hands.
Like, I really liked that scene. There's an energy to it. It did stuff new. It got the character right. I thought, okay, maybe I'll like this movie.
But then.
Yeah, but then. Oh yeah, and I think the notable thing that kind of like took me out of it that I started laughing at was the first Dennis Leary flashback.
Oh yeah.
So
and see, for me, having not seen the first one, seeing this one, I was just like, wait a minute. So Dennis Leary's still alive? I was like, what is this bullshit?
That's true. They don't establish that for new audiences.
Yeah, not until much later when he finally tells Gwen, just like, I've been seeing your dad.
But
yeah, for once I was one of the ignorant people.
Yeah. Well, Chuck, since you didn't see the end of the movie, the biggest like thing people have been upset about is that while George Stacy is dying in Peter Parker's arms from saving Peter's life,
oh god,
his dying breath, he says, "Stay away from my daughter."
Oh shit!
Yep. And Peter like has a montage where he does that, and then he basically just like
at the end he's just like,
our love
fuck
is too strong. Not even your dead dad can keep us apart.
Yeah.
And then he starts having qualms about it in this movie.
Yeah.
It's just like, you obviously didn't give a shit, like, not too long after it happened.
It's writers trying to save something.
We can get mad at, like, one of all of the 6 writers involved with this script. Because there's just no consistency, there's no logic to any of that thought.
Yeah.
Like, none of it meant anything. It was just, well, we want it to end happily the first time around. And now in this one, well, it's not interesting that they're just happily together.
Yeah.
We have to make it so there's some sort of urgency with them trying to get their relationship figured out.
And that was one of the most annoying parts of this movie.
Because that's what the Spider-Man movie is really about. It's just about whether or not this couple that everyone's rooting for is going to get back together.
Yeah, do we want to talk about that right now? Because, like, everything...
Let's stay on track.
Stay on track.
We'll stay on track.
Just for the listeners, we're trying to stay on track with the movie. Like, we got a list here we're working off of, but, like, this movie is such a... Like, it's not a cohesive narrative, so it's really difficult.
We're gonna try
and it's very easy.
We're going to try and have this be more concise than the movie.
I
it's
think
very easy to jump around
like
the movie does, but we're trying to keep some sense to this.
So the Rhino, okay?
Yep.
This is probably the most wasteful use of an Oscar nominee in some time. Not of all time, but it's up there.
It is.
You just have Paul Giamatti speaking gibberish, like in Slavic or whatever.
That wasn't even like... even that particularly good of a Russian accent.
He basically is just playing Groot. He just goes, that's what he does.
It seems like he's just kind of going all out because he really doesn't give a shit. It's just like...
But that's the thing. I would give that pass to most actors, but this is Paul Giamatti. He can ham it up like nobody else.
And have it still be good, though.
It's not like he has screen time.
No.
He's in this movie for a total of 5 minutes, maybe.
Yeah,
if that. Yeah, so he's trying to steal plutonium. Yeah. Spider-Man stops him. But,
webs him up, he shows his boxers, and then you don't see him again until the end of the movie, which we'll get to. Yeah.
But during the chaos, during this chase, during which, at one point, the Rhino drives into oncoming traffic and destroys cars, which I think we're supposed to assume are empty and abandoned.
They're empty driving cars. Yeah, they're smart cars driving themselves.
Apparently, even though when I was watching it, I was just like, "Holy shit, they're fucking killing people."
There's a lot of that.
There is a lot of invisible carnage going on.
And
in this
no
movie.
one gives a crap about it in this movie, like they did with Man of Steel. It was just like, oh, there's so many people dying, and then this comes out, and there's just an epic amount of people dying, and they're just
not even mentioned, because it's at least in Man of Steel, it's the destruction is very obvious, and everyone's like, holy crap, nothing will ever be the same. This is 9/11 level.
And I think that Avengers did it right by showing the public's reaction to it. You know, and there's a moment where Bruce Banner's like, did I fall on anyone? Were there any people? No. You know, they acknowledge it. Or Captain America, where it's more a war movie. It's a spy thriller. It's supposed to be intense.
And all those casualties in Captain America are the spy versus spy, whatever casualties. Yeah. Not a lot of just everyday.
Not a lot of civilian, collateral damage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But one of the casualties is not Dennis Leary, who I want to get back to.
No, who just happens to be sitting in the
Peter has random flashbacks 4 times at the beginning, and then he doesn't for another hour and a half.
Yeah.
Until it's convenient.
Exactly. Yeah. This is a big plot point at the beginning, and it gets drawn out. Just Dennis Leary just leering all over the place with one facial expression.
And, okay, in the world of this movie, what is the explanation for him having these visions?
There isn't.
Guilt.
Well, guilt. It's guilt.
Yeah.
It's guilt.
He never says it.
Is this actually how people manifest guilt in the real world?
Not in my experience, but
maybe in dreams, but not everyday life. You're doing shit, whip. Oh, there's my girlfriend's dead.
How scumbag brain just goes, oh God, what am I doing? Oh God, what did I tell him? Jesus, I'm still dating her.
And that's when your brain's idle, when it's not wrapped up in other things.
Yeah, it's not when you're on a mission, and because Gwen isn't around when he has these flashbacks.
Not at all. She's nowhere to.
It's just the Rhino triggers his memory,
or maybe it's just because he's NYPD, oh shit, Mr. Stacy, god damn it.
That's the only other connection I have to the NYPD, not that I see them every single day.
That's true, yeah. That's the only one. They don't even do Gene DeWolf or anyone else to be react to it.
Nope.
Because they don't have any supporting characters that the perspective of the city. Nope. They don't have the Daily Bugle. They don't have other friends or classmates. So it's just Spider-Man, Gwen, Aunt May, somewhat we'll get to.
Yeah.
And then Oscorp. The big corporate goings on of Oscorp,
which we'll get to as well.
But then in this opening sequence, which we're still hashing through, who else is introduced but Max Dillon, who walks out in a crowded New York, the one city where apparently no one gives a shit about anybody else when you're a commuter walking.
It's New York.
It's New York, but he should know this. He apparently lives there. He's apparently been there his entire life, and he's carrying super expensive, important blueprints. We know this because he tells us.
Yeah,
and he doesn't have them in tubes. They're just exposed paper and rubber bands.
And why does he have big paper blueprints when more than likely people would be carrying them around on flash drives?
Also that. You're being, no shit. No,
it's more realistic. It's more grounded, as Jamie Foxx
That is such
say.
A pre-digital world problem.
Yeah.
Well, it's because he's
Fumble my paperwork.
It's because, how else is he going to do that? How else are they going to show that he's a loser nerd?
Well, also, okay, have you guys ever seen... This is a weird comparison I make. Have you seen What Women Want?
Yeah, I love that movie.
Judy Greer's character in that. Judy Greer's suicidal character that everyone bumps into and doesn't notice.
Yep. That she is the Electro.
Yeah.
which is hilarious considering that Mel Gibson is the one who gets electrocuted in that movie.
Oh, man.
The other thing that really bugs me about Max Dillon is he's probably the most two-dimensional character I've seen in a movie in a very long time.
I have to say, though, Chuck, I know you'll disagree with you. Yeah. We disagree on this, but as much as this is not Max Dillon from the comics, it makes no sense. I enjoyed the hell out of Jamie Foxx in this role. I thought he was just so messed up.
I felt he did good with what he had, but I mean,
he had an energy that the rest of the
doing in this movie.
That's true. That's true.
So yet again, he might be in certain parts of his character might be like the lone glimmer of goodness for you.
For me, I mean, he was hokey enough that I was drawn
But he
to
wasn't
it.
consistent with the rest of the cast.
No, and his character didn't stay consistent either.
Yeah, with that.
No, because as soon as he became Electro, everything before
so
that was
dark
just
and
evaporated.
grim, yeah.
There was none of that left.
The way that he played Max Dillon was, to me, just kind of came off like someone trying to be an Asperger's person to a certain extent. It's like
not able to
read social cues.
interact socially with people.
I know
right.
it's like it's just kind of it's not really a complete way of good way of talking about.
Well, it's kind of like
is.
Big Bang Theory. Like we can make fun of it if we don't say what it is.
Yeah.
And I got huge problems with that, but that's different.
That's a different discussion. But
Which we should have a podcast about, since we're all geeks, and I don't think any of us are represented by that show at all.
No.
Yeah,
back to this terrible movie.
But with Matt, that was my one thing I didn't like about it, because every single time I saw him, I was just like, I know that they're trying to make me feel bad about him, but all I want to do is I feel bad for the actor, not the character.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, why are you doing this, Jamie Foxx?
So laughable and
Why
caricature.
Another waste of an Oscar
You're an Oscar winner. Yeah.
Oh man, how many are in this, by the way? You've got Chris Cooper, 2-time award winner, Sally Field.
Oh my God.
Jamie Foxx, Giamatti has a nomination.
Yep.
Is it just those 4?
Garfield?
No,
he
didn't.
was not for an Oscar. He was for a Golden Globe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Stone didn't. Martin Sheen surprisingly never has. So yeah,
Really?
just those 4.
Well, he's still,
No,
but even though he's not in this movie, but
He's got flashback.
Oh, he does?
Yeah,
Oh,
he's got like dyed hair in the opening scene.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's kind of glossed
Wait, he
over.
was in that?
Yeah.
How did I miss that?
Yeah, when they dropped Peter off.
Okay,
It was like 2 seconds.
It was the potato quality that I was watching it on. Because, disclaimer, I did not pay money to see this thing.
No.
I did, but that's my fault.
I wasn't willing to pay money for it.
So finally, this Rhino sequence comes to an end. A lot happens in it. Spider-Man and Max Dillon have a moment, and to Max Dillon, this moment is...
We're best
You
friends,
know who I
right?
am? You know me, Spider-Man?
This is the best day of his life.
I'll be a part of Spider-Man.
This is the best.
We're best
day.
friends now.
This is the best moment in this poor man's existence, and yet somehow he works at Oscorp. You know, which getting hired at Oscorp might, even though he's kind of menial, that's a pretty big deal for a dude like that.
But that's how you know too, with this, that he's got those social problems where a otherwise like not meaningless, but I mean like how you'd expect to interact with a hero. Hero's like, oh yeah, you're my eyes on the streets. You know, it's just like as a little playful thing.
Yeah.
And he takes that so literally. And, like, to the point where he thinks him and Spidey are best friends now.
Well,
like, that's how you can tell he's got those social
to me,
issues.
it was like a forever alone dude, like, obsessing over a cute girl on the internet. Mm-hmm. That's what it reminded me of.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But then again, like this particular trope is one that's been in comics before.
But not with this character. I'd like to point out. Like a lot of people are like, "Oh, this is finally a Spider-Man movie we've been waiting for. What we want to see." Like,
God,
this is nothing like the comics. Like
no,
that
like,
character.
holy shit! Like they neuter Max.
I feel bad for people who like this is the movie they wanted to see.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, okay. The new animated series, the MTV one. He has a similar design and also is a nerd, like an outcast, like kind of suicidal, like kid that was bullied.
Yeah.
It's almost like they adapted him from that, which is weird.
Because that show was on for like what 2-3 seasons?
And what 13 episodes?
13 episodes. Yeah,
I was about to say that.
And nobody
it was
watched.
A blip on the radar.
It was, yet I guess mine from everything, but still, like why that?
I know. Well, I mean, like the Gentleman is taken from some novelizations that he was never in the comics.
Yeah,
but,
I suppose.
Okay, so after this scene, the graduation.
Yeah, because he is late for graduation because he's off saving New York City.
Yep.
He's saving pedestrians from, well, not saving pedestrians because they're all getting run over by the Rhino.
And he has a last minute thing, kind of like Herbie Fully Loaded, where he makes it just in time to graduation.
Yeah, no shit.
And then this is where I start to have a problem with Peter Parker. He goes up to, and Gwen is valedictorian.
Yeah.
He like dips her and like makes out with her on stage, comes up, does kind of chest bump thing, and like high
He's
five.
like, I'm the man. Yeah.
Peter Parker would never do that.
Ever.
He's not that.
They made Peter.
Not that he's not that courageous without that mask on.
Well, but there's a difference between confidence and just being an ass.
Yeah.
Like that.
That's what I mean. Like, and you going from my experience with the first one, Peter in the first hour of the first one that I saw, is not the character in the second one at all. Not even even after Peter becomes Spider-Man in that world, he is still kind of an introverted nerd who really can only express himself completely around Gwen.
Yep.
You know?
Okay. I wouldn't say, but
maybe not completely to that extent.
He seems more of an impression of a nerd or a teenager. That's my problem with Garfield's performance.
Yeah. But then in the second one, he is more in common with Flash than he does with what the character ideally would be. And that's... Yeah, that rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, he's not an everyman. He's not put upon. We don't feel sorry for him.
He's a hipster nerd.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
He's the person that everybody's just like, oh, that guy. Like,
puts way too much work into his hair.
Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, how does his hair look so good with him taking off that mask constantly?
The bad head,
Also, in my opinion, worst Stan Lee cameo ever in this one.
What was this one?
I was at the graduation. He's like, when Peter comes back down, and then he's got his Spider-Man mask on still for a second, for some reason, with all his other stuff on.
Yeah.
And then quick before he takes it off, sees Stan Lee, and he's like, oh, I think I know that guy.
Yeah.
I was just like...
See, even when he, broke the fourth wall in Rise of the Silver Surfer, that was actually taken right out of the comics when, he and Jack weren't invited to the Sue and Reed wedding.
Yep.
It was an awkward scene, and we don't need to get into that terrible movie here either.
No.
But.
That's what I was about to say. I'm like, I haven't seen it. I just realized that, there's Stan Lee cameos I'm unaware of.
Yeah. But this, I agree, Brodsho. This is one of the worst. I even forgot it, so... but yeah, graduation
going from
happens.
One of the ones I liked a lot in the first one of him.
Yeah, the Last Crusade reference with the books.
Yeah, and just being completely oblivious while all this shit's happening in the background. Yeah. I liked that one, and then this one, there's just
just pooped it out. They're like, well, we got to get him in here. He's old. He doesn't have much time. We can't make it as involved.
I don't want to go there. I'm not ready for this.
So this graduation happens, and
Gwen does a speech that we find out about later.
Well, she does. We hear the beginning. We hear the beginning and the end of it.
Yeah,
and then we miss the middle.
The allusion to her death.
That we get so much later.
She
dies. Like, you think he would get more out of the stuff that she said, like either right before or right after that?
Yeah,
because it seems very relevant, but it's this missing chunk we had not seen at all. So it's
because the missing chunk is the part that is supposed to inspire him,
which means they're trying to stop his foreshadowing, but it's not at all.
Yeah. No, not one bit.
So that's pretty much graduation. I think there's one more Dennis Learying there, but that's it. So I think he goes there to break up with her, right? She comes out of a Chinese restaurant
because
with
they
her
were going to go to
something. Well, because he's like, oh, you're going to meet us here, whatever. All right, I'll be there,
Yeah.
And then he meets her there.
And he doesn't go in.
Yeah, he was just like,
come outside. Come outside so I can break out.
Because I think that after that is
some right now.
Because I think right before that he has another one of his little Captain Stacy hallucinations. And then he's just, hey, I kind of made this promise to your dad.
I didn't tell you.
But he doesn't explain it. And she's not sympathetic towards it. She's just like, wait, I break up with you.
Which the really annoying super feminists are just like, yeah, she took control of that. She did her shit. She's not waiting for no man.
It's just a lame attempt to give her agency, but it's none of it.
No. So much in the movie is
none of it goes.
She's still in that damsel in distress role, and they're trying to make her proactive, but
she ends up falling back into the damsel in distress role.
If she's consistently in control like that scene, that would be one thing, but she's not.
No,
because later on, 2 scenes later, when we see her the next time, she's back with Peter, kind of.
They waffle back and forth
so many times.
And while a lot of people were like, this was the strongest part of the movie, was the Peter-Gwen relationship, I'm like, I do not think so.
This
is the most annoying part.
This is in our talking points. This is something I've been wanting to say since I saw it, and I've seen the reaction to this movie.
The internet is like, okay,
gaga over this, but they're not gaga over these characters being together.
Mm-hmm.
They're gaga over the real-life relationship between the actors.
Yeah. Which I don't know them. I'm sure they're nice people and they have a good relationship, but
that's not good movie. That's not good movie making.
Yeah.
It's like the chemistry here is non-existent for me.
For me to care about the chemistry of the characters, I need to care about the characters.
Also,
and this movie does not have a focus on them. I don't know where they're headed, why they're together. I mean, the first
why
movie,
are they together to begin
they
with?
just happen to be together because, like, she just keeps showing up, and then it's kind. I don't know, Brodsho. Do you remember
how they got together?
Yeah.
Peter was obsessing over her because he thought she was really pretty, and he had that picture of her as his desktop.
Yeah.
And then Uncle Ben comes in.
Yeah.
Well, Uncle Ben pimps in at that one part, and he's just like, "Oh yeah, that's that girl you have a picture of on your computer, isn't it?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it just goes from there. It was just Peter's obsession somehow became real.
Yeah. And then
this is one of my problems with the movies that, like, because, like, when you look at the comics, like, Spider-Man's never had a traditional meet cute. Like, all his relationships in the 616 universe have always started kind of interestingly.
Yeah.
Like, Liz Allen, like, picked on him, but then she was impressed with his confidence.
Yep.
Betty Brant was an older woman at work. Deborah Whitman had her own backstory. Gwen Stacy and him had a lot of misunderstandings that would have made for a great movie.
Yep.
Mary Jane was a shocking girl next door, and Felicia Hardy had had messed up obsession. Like, all of these would have been way different than just, hey, you're the only girl, I'm obsessed with you, and they just start dating. That's not
she
character development.
It's like she apparently is interested in him.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of.
And
then Uncle Ben dies.
And
then
she's like,
oh.
And then she's like, come over, my mom's making fish.
Yeah. Well, Flash does that too in the beginning. Or in the first movie. Flash isn't in this one at all.
Yeah.
But, he's just like, hey, I get it. And, he's like a jerk to him about that, and he never comes up again.
No.
Which I read somewhere online pointing out that, like, people only pick on Peter in Amazing Spider-Man when he's helping out other kids.
Yeah.
It's like, they're not bullying him just because he's an outcast.
No, it's because
he's
he
like
helps
the
the
cool,
outcasts.
like, yeah.
Well, they're bullying him because he's a white knight, and he's making him feel bad for being jerks.
Yeah.
And
that's a problem with the first
it's
one.
not about who he is, it's about what he does.
Mm-hmm.
And, okay, did the scene with the little kid happen yet? And where we are? You know what I'm talking about?
It's in a montage that happens after the breakup.
I can't keep track of the montages.
Where he's going around doing shit, and then Bully's picking on a little kid, which you're supposed to, and Peter comes in and as Spider-Man and tells those kids to get out, because it's supposed to symbolize, like, this is who I was when I was a kid. Even though we never saw that, but...
Yeah.
And they're trying to have a positive message with a superhero, which is good.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that.
It'd be better
part.
if it works.
Yeah, exactly. It was just like, and apparently that was Garfield's idea. They weren't going to do that, and Garfield was
seems
just
like an actor publicity stunt.
And let's just put this out there now. A lot of Garfield's ideas and brainstorms
he came up with skateboarding.
They all suck.
Yeah.
They all suck. They just bog down an already quagmired of a movie.
Yeah.
For someone who says he's
super passionate
a
about
super Spider-Man fan, and
I always wanted to come to
to
Comic-Con dressed as Spider-Man or whatever he said that one time.
I wonder how long it took someone to write that for him.
Yeah. I saw Social Network. I personally think that he was robbed a nomination for that. He was great. Like
he was great.
Like I loved him way more than Jesse Eisenberg's gimmicky performance. Personally, I thought. And then when I saw Never Let Me Go,
oh god, yeah,
I was like, okay, that's Peter Parker. Because this came out before Amazing Spider-Man. It's like, okay, this awkward guy in this love triangle, that's Peter Parker. He plays that well.
Yeah.
It's very natural. He's sympathetic.
Because because those were written well.
They were.
This was
a good script.
You don't know.
Is directing Never Let Me Go.
You never know with this if it's just the actors phoning it in or if it's because they're just given absolute shit to work with.
That's true. He is directed a certain way.
But there's just when you look at the talent that surrounds him in this, it's nothing compared to the quality work is done.
Well, like we said, with all these Oscar-nominated and winning people in it, and these people who have other critically lauded things, and then in this, all their characters just are shit and fall short completely.
And it's because these movies were not made to tell a good story, make a good movie. They're made with commercial interests in mind.
Keep the rights.
The impetus behind them isn't the goal isn't to make something that is good. The goal is just to make something that will sell.
Yeah.
And which you can see very much in this movie, because it's like, here's the setup for the rest of our universe we're trying to pimp on you.
Yeah.
Take it.
But
Take it.
It's clearly making it up as it goes along. It doesn't have a plan. Like, Mark Webb had a quote that pissed me off. He's like, yeah, we'd like to have J. Jonah Jameson, but we're not sure what we want to do yet. And it's like, this is a vital character to this mythos. That Spider-Man, Peter Parker, Jameson relationship is fascinating. How can you not have a take on that before you write this?
And you look at like what Marvel Studios did. Like, granted, they were kind of playing, fast and loose a little bit, trying to get things figured out. But when they committed to something, they were like, no,
there's still a passion to it.
This is going to matter later on. It's like, if we're going to include this, it's because we want to do this later. In this, they're
avoiding.
It's the mystery box syndrome.
Yeah,
it's because it's like things are better if they're unknown.
Yeah.
Well, and look
how's he gonna pop up? What's he gonna do?
It's all about having an unknown known within your mythos.
Yeah.
So that you still have the excitement is in the anticipation
of that person
of that thing showing up. And it's like the unfortunate thing is when that unknown turns into a known, the satisfaction is gone.
Yeah, because all the hype around it and all the expectations will never be met if it keeps getting built up.
If this is his greatest battle beginning, yikes.
Yeah, that tagline was a horrible idea, and whoever signed off on it was an idiot.
Yeah,
that's not how you fucking do it.
No.
This is part 2 in what is hyped up to be a multi-part, multi-movie franchise, and. What's the third movie going to be? It's not going to be his greatest battle, because his greatest battle already happened against Max Dillon and against the Hobgoblin. Supposedly this is the greatest thing Spider-Man will ever be involved in. Not good hope for the future.
No,
not him versus the Sinister Six.
And how many battles has this guy actually had? He dealt with the lizard. He had otherwise it's just been street crime.
Yep, criminals.
Whoop-de-fucking-do.
Would you say we're like 20, 30 minutes into the movie, like a 2.5 hour long movie? This is not.
But see, we're gonna jump over a lot of shit because there's
redundant,
a lot of filler, redundant.
Well, a lot of scenes drag with just
So we just got to breaking up with Gwen Part 1.
Yeah,
that's where we're at.
Yes.
And then eventually, we find out that Aunt May's going to nursing school.
I laughed in the theater. It's like, what? She's on the phone. It's like, you need to cover for me at the...
This is a secret. I can't let Peter know. She says that she can't let Peter know.
Can't let Peter know that I'll have something going on in my life.
Yeah. That I'm trying to make money and be a
I'm
responsible
no longer
adult.
this sad widow anymore.
Yeah. How many, like a year or two after Uncle Ben died? But also, this isn't like frail old Aunt May. No. This is vibrant Sally Field.
I can totally see her being a nurse.
Well, but it's also like she doesn't seem like she'd be a stay-at-home wife because this is like modern day. Because like Rosemary Harris would have been retired if she had worked.
Did she? Okay, but like maybe she had been a nurse or something like that.
But she's going to nursing school.
She's going to school for it.
Well, so maybe she was a CNA.
Maybe. We don't know.
And then she had to raise Peter. So maybe she quit working to raise Peter.
Maybe, but this is one of those odd plot points that goes somewhere like an hour later.
When you forget about it. It's only mentioned so that something can happen later.
Well, yeah,
and that is so dumb.
It's only a part of the movie so that they can flash to her doing something heroic in her own way in a hospital during the big fight when they're doing the cross-cutting around the city.
But that's the problem with Aunt May. They're struggling to give her something when she's a vital part of this story.
There's so much more.
She is not a vital part of this story.
And talking about like great actors in this movie, Sally Field, 2-time Academy Award winner, legend of the silver screen, and small screen. Wasted in this.
And her character pissed me off when she was just like, when she comes in, sees all the shit that Peter's put up while looking about stuff about his dad.
Because if you're gonna solve a mystery box movie, the solution is to put lots of pictures and charts,
paper clippings and strings, and
it's so.
I think that's what the writers tried to do. It's like, hey, we have this plot, this plot, this plot. Like how they tie together.
Like whenever you look at behind the scenes of a writer's room, they have the note cards on the wall, laying out the structure, laying out all their scenes, and it's very orderly and precise. What the fuck did this writer's room look like? Exactly like you say. They were like, well, we have this idea, green string over to this, blue card. It's like,
that Peter's wall in there looks very much like how you expect the breakdown for this movie looked. And
Yeah.
but
It must have.
the thing, like I was saying, with when she came in and gave this "woe is me, I've tried so hard, and you don't care about me, you just care about your dead dad" speech.
Yeah.
That pissed me off. I was like, Aunt May, she knows Peter is 100% there for her. Mm-hmm. Like,
well,
and especially, who are you to...
This one, I don't know if he is, yeah.
But who are you to be like, no, don't stop giving a shit about your mysteriously disappeared father. Like, why?
I don't know. As a Spider-Man fan, I kind of did that. It's like, Peter, pay attention to Aunt May. Like, she's there. Ignore your parents.
I know, but at the same, it just seemed very selfish.
It was. She came
and
across
Aunt May is
as
not a selfish character.
And there's no warmth with their relationship. No warmth with any of these relationships.
No,
not even him and Gwen, but especially Aunt May. Yeah. It's so lacking.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like you would expect there to be the characters to have certain qualities.
Yeah.
But the way that they're written, they all just end up coming off as jerks. No matter what. Even Aunt May comes off as a jerk. Even though, like Brodsho was saying, it's like, you're a jerk, but at the same time, I feel like you are right, but you're still being a jerk.
Yeah.
You know.
So, I'm not exactly sure when this comes into play, because, like, the way the movie's structured is, like, it brings up a new plot point, it goes back to an old one, brings up a new one. It's all over the place. Yeah, but somewhere we go to Oscorp, and Harry returns. Dane DeHaan doing the best he can. Like, I would venture to say the best of the group.
No.
Like, no? Really?
I thought he was terrible.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
But you were saying it because of what you've seen him do before. We're talking just about within this context of this movie.
He is awful in this movie.
I'd say the character is awful.
Okay, the character is awful. It's another situation is it the actor or is it the shit he's given?
Well, he could have said those lines in any other way than the way he said them. The affectation that he puts on, which is supposed to be like snooty, blue blood, upper class.
I felt for him, honestly. Like, he was the most sympathetic character to me, that he was thrown away and ignored.
And this is what's interesting about the character, at least, is that we find out as soon as we meet him, because we see Cooper.
Chris Cooper.
Chris Cooper's in this.
Another waste of a motherfucking actor.
Another Oscar winner.
Okay, when I found he was Norman Osborn, I was like, oh, this is cheap. He's played a villain so many times. They're doing what they did with Kirk Connors, casting a generically evil guy.
Yeah.
But then I see this, it's like, he just shows up and acts like he's dying, and then he dies.
Yeah, I'm like, so this is all we're getting of Norman Osborn in this? The Spider-Man's greatest foe is here he is,
from his greatest
laid
battle.
up in bed.
Yeah.
Only thing that
he has a few flashbacks, I guess.
Even remotely links him to Green Goblin is the fact that whatever the fuck he tried on himself gave him a green hand with claws.
Okay, is it because of an experiment or is it because of an Osborn curse? Because he's talking about something like, our family is...
They have a degenerative...
Not in the comics.
Disease.
Nothing
not in the comics,
like
but
that.
I mean,
I just want to point out this is another...
In the movie, they have some degenerative shit, and obviously some psychological problems. He's trying... That's the whole point of the first movie. This is where they're trying to find a way to cure Norman.
Yeah.
They can't find anything, yet somehow Harry miraculously does later. I don't know.
And this is what...
Well, they had that suit in the fucking basement the whole time.
This is one of the more unfortunate things of Spider-Man not being connected to the Marvel Studios movies, is that using the Ultimate Comics universe, Marvel universe, as a template, they came up with a really interesting explanation for why...
the Oz drug and
well, and the whole because what drives the Ultimate Universe for the most part is the quest to replicate the superhero, the superhero injection or whatever, the serum,
the super soldier serum,
super soldier serum. Because like that's
Super
driving. That's that's what leads to Spider-Man becoming Spider-Man. That's what leads to Green Goblin becoming Green Goblin, etc., etc.
Leads to the creation of the mutants,
the Hulk as well.
Yep.
And they could.
And Marvel, Studios films, Marvel Cinematic Universe is based off that too, with Hulk and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
And you could say that. Not to bring up the Raimi movies, but that's the route they went.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's what that was.
Well, okay. I'll bring that up. There's a clear thing that Oscorp does in the Raimi movies with weapons. Stark Industries has a role it plays. even the Wayne Enterprises, even if you don't know exactly what they do in the Nolan films, there's a relationship that's
you see they got like military contracts.
Yeah,
you see that.
That's
Oscorp. What
the fuck is going on here?
What we're presented with Oscorp is, hey, we exist solely to find something to cure Norman Osborn of his shitty disease. We don't do anything for anybody else. We say we are, but we're really just trying to heal the dude that pays us.
But how do they make all this money? Where's funding come from? How is the government not all over this
it's
place?
obviously off of the super strong spider webbing that they harvest from all those genetically altered spiders.
That they fucking...
It's just such a, everything that place does, it's like, what is going on?
Maybe they invented hologram displays that apparently are proprietary to Oscorp and are only used within Oscorp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because...
They have all these great AR technologies. Why don't we see people using these things?
Like we said, with Iron Man, with Batman, you see stuff that were created by the company. Mm-hmm. You see the... you see all of the missiles and the tumbler and like the spelunking suit, all that crap. And then in this, it's just like the only thing you end up actually seeing that they create is the stupid Sinister Six costume stuff at the very end
for some undefined reason.
Well, apparently
it's just hanging out in the basement.
It's supposed to revitalize them and delay the onset of whatever this mysterious disease is.
But they have to be super cool-looking animal-related suits. It can't be just some type of suit that you put on that helps you out and you can wear it under stuff. No, it's got to have big mechanical wings, octopus arms.
Well, speaking of potentially animal-related, there's a boardroom scene where Harry takes over because Norman dies, I guess, and that scene serves no purpose other than to say, "What's your name?" Felicia.
Don't even give her last name. Don't even give her last name. She's got no credentials. Felicia.
She's basically just the hot assistant who's in the room.
He's like, hey, you're a hot young chick. I want you around me all the time. Boom.
You're hired.
Well, and
they don't explain it's Felicia Hardy.
Yeah.
They don't give you any inkling that she's... she eventually becomes Black Cat, guys. I
can't wait to hear.
She's such a waste of a character too.
It's like, how does she become Black Cat?
Because she's a somewhat known actress.
How does she become a cat?
Honestly, if I was trying to make a Sinister Six movie in this universe, I would have her be one of the six and then be the hero that turns. That's the only way I can see that working. Because they're not doing Superior Foes of Spider-Man where it's an indie comedy.
No. Which would be hilarious, by the way.
Well,
Mark Webb coming from indie comedies.
Yeah. Well, look, if there ever was a superhero movie Mark Webb should make, it's that.
Yeah.
It's not these.
And that's one of the best received runs at Marvel right now. Nick Spencer is Superior Foes.
Yeah, exactly. All their
Boomerang and Overdrive. Yeah.
We're living in a world where Superior Foes of Spider-Man and Hawkeye are the most critically acclaimed Marvel books.
Yeah.
Well, that's not surprising considering some of the dreck that comes.
Hey! Now let's not get there. We're not doing that this week. Okay.
It'll happen. Yeah. It'll happen.
So Harry returns. Norman dies. Felicia,
or does he?
I'm sorry. Question mark?
That's the thing that got me too. Is they say he dies, you don't see his body. You see them do that little scanny bullshit over the bed.
Anytime someone dies off screen, it's usually
and I don't know if this is fair game or not because I read online that there's a post-credits sequence that was cut from the movie that was the gentleman talking to Norman Osborn's disembodied head,
and then somehow that clip. Like a JPEG of that clip is leaked online.
Yeah, if you see the Sinister Six scene in that basement, you see a head there. Briefly. So it's like, are they bringing
Disney Norman so they can resurrect him and stick his head on a robot body? They're just basically going to stick him on the suit that Harry was wearing, and then that's going to be the Goblin because his head's going to go full Goblin.
Because this is a realistic dark universe.
But here's the thought.
But why if you're doing that, if you're planning on that, why not set the character up? Make us be like, holy shit, he's back. Well,
yeah, that would be one.
Okay, so
better way. As dumb as that thing is, the whole disembodied head thing is. That was a much better way to have a tease of the Sinister Six at the very end, instead of showing that scene we've all seen in the trailers at this point. Because almost the entirety of the last 20 minutes of that movie are in the fucking trailers.
Yeah.
So, that would have been a perfect way to just, hey, here's this head, boom, end the movie.
Yeah.
Or
and that's something to be said about how this movie was written and edited.
Yeah.
Is that this is a feature-length trailer.
Yeah,
It's like everything you would expect from a modern-day trailer is just ballooned and made into this movie.
But even speaking of like feature-length trailers and like characters coming back as like just previews.
Yeah.
Like Dead Man's Chest, like a trailer for the third Pirates, but still fun on its own. Like I remember seeing that, and like Barbossa comes in at the end. Holy shit, it's Barbossa! I love this character.
Miss this guy.
Yeah. You know, like no one's gonna have that reaction to when they bring Osborn back.
because the only other scene you see him in is him laying there being a dick to his kid and then dying.
The anticipation is maybe we'll actually get to see Chris Cooper do something next time.
He deserves better.
Yeah. So all that baloney.
And also at Oscorp, again, Max Dillon. We haven't talked about him in 30 minutes, but he's...
For good reason. Oh, then we get the other completely throwaway character.
Yes,
Ryan from The Office.
Yeah, BJ Novak as Alistair Smythe.
Or is it Spencer Smythe?
That's valid.
One of the Smythes.
It's just a Smythe. They just call him Smythe. But it's like, here's somebody else that has a lot to do with shit that happens to Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And he just has, like... two lines.
And he exists to just be a bully.
Yeah, he exists to be a D-bag to Max Dillon, and that's
it's
it.
such a weird, like, after-school special way. Like, he's a kid on a playground that's just like, we're all gonna do something cool. Oh, can I come? It's my birthday. Please, sir. No, you gotta stay here and change this dangerous electrical wire above these eels.
That we, for some reason, thought was a safe and efficient way to power things.
What are eels doing?
So where is PETA in this universe? Shouldn't they just be up Oscorp's ass about all the horrible things they're doing to animals?
Lizards and spiders and eels. Oh my,
Yeah. No.
Where's PETA?
Well, that's what... Well, wasn't that too... Once the whole... That was kind of part of the thing when Richard Parker was explaining about... about why they... Or after the whole Connors thing happened... and they were exposed for that stuff, they had to get rid of all of that stuff because it was causing some sort of outrage. So, I mean, there was some of it. But, I mean, like, how could you keep that hidden for so long in this giant company?
And how isn't the United States government just being like, hey, Oscorp,
what are you actually doing?
We're going to regulate the shit out of you now. Yeah. You know, no, they're just allowed to keep on being a nefarious, evil corporation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the only, like... evil thing in this universe, too. Like, everything comes out of Oscorp.
Yeah. It's a little too...
Well, and also the only thing heroes come out, like, because Peter doesn't act independently, it's because of Oscorp, and it's all...
There's no villains that arise because of some other outside circumstance. No, it's because of Oscorp.
They have, there's no motivation that isn't tied to Oscorp.
Yep.
And what we're really missing, because even though Peter is, he's tied to Oscorp, they don't affect his personal life.
Yeah.
Like, the best thing about Spider-Man is that it's about the relationship between Peter Parker and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like, and this doesn't have that connection or conflict between the two.
And if anything, it's not Oscorp having any sort of effect on Peter's personal life. It's Peter going in there and fucking with their shit.
Yeah.
Because, and it comes back to him wanting to know what happened to his parents. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I guess they're consistent in that way, but yet again, who gives a shit?
Yeah. He gives them a reason to want to kick his ass if they knew he was Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You keep breaking in and stealing a bunch of our secrets and shit.
And now they know he is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Although that does remind me of, like, one of the, like, probably my favorite scene, actually, that I legitimately liked. I think this is later on down the line, but Gwen is, like, running from evil guys because she's a modern woman and she finds stuff.
She searched Max Dillon after she randomly saw that.
Is this the sequence when she's in Oscorp and then they're escaping?
Yeah. See, because, like, Peter Parker's there as Peter Parker, and she's like, help me, get away from them, and, like, he's webbing them and stuff, like, subtly. Yeah. Like, there's an energy to it, it's well choreographed, it's original, there's a joy to it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when the version I saw, the the camera guy was hiding the camera during that sequence. So I missed a good chunk of it.
Just a little bit.
I missed a chunk of it, so like it's not quite.
The stuff we ended up missing.
Right.
The
I'm
stuff
sure
we ended up missing.
See movies in theaters,
was,
but not this one.
No.
A chunk where the shit in the elevator is going on, and then she meets Harry, and they have that little discussion.
Yeah.
That's where the version we watched cut out at.
Well,
but it was.
yeah.
But
But
here's my
also-
question,
yeah.
and I don't know if it was just the version we saw, or if because I don't know what the theatrical, like the full blown one without those cuts were. Was that scene they show in the trailer of Harry being like, "Hey Peter, Oscorp's been keeping tabs on you"? Your
No,
whole
that
life."
wasn't. There's a few things
Why
in the trailer
wasn't that in there?
And this is something that we were talking about before.
Yeah.
This movie was probably 4 hours long before
Yeah.
they decided what would stay and what would go.
I don't know. I don't know who to like. I'd be curious to reading the script because I think the editors are to blame.
Good luck finding a script for this.
No, I wouldn't.
This is
bother,
probably a
actually,
safely guarded secret, you know, because it's such a shameful thing.
Yeah.
But
Okay. Also, before that whole scene with the elevator and Peter webbing them,
Yeah.
he meets her in like this closet,
Yeah.
and Peter is like, "Oh, we're hiding out here." That's such a cliche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I write like that, but I'm 23 and I don't know what I'm doing. These are professional writers who are like,
is
"Oh,
Robert Orkey."
this premise we're doing, it's shit."
Yeah.
It's like,
We'll make
thanks.
fun of the fact
I don't
that it's
care.
shit.
we're making fun that we suck so bad.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to direct Star Trek.
Oh boy, yeah, let's not get into that. But again, that might be a Garfield edition too. That seems
God,
like one
who
of the things he'd
knows?
add.
Yeah, that's why.
Who
like,
did what?
That's why it would be so interesting to see
Also,
what the script looked like.
If these security
Right.
guys are really running all over looking for somebody, why don't they think to check in the fucking closet?
Or like
Because-
the cameras that
because
would
that's too
have
cliche.
there.
They're like, I'm sure they were just running by. Hey, dude, you check there? Nah, man, no one would ever hide.
I can't see him this way. I can't see him this way.
Yeah.
We were only like
They must
7
be-
feet behind them.
They
Where
must
are
be
they?
in the Bermuda of hiding places, or whatever that
the
dumb line
Bermuda
is.
tetrahedron.
Or no, the Bahamas of hiding places. That's her clever line, yeah. So yeah, that happens. Everything turns out all right.
But, okay,
now.
but I just want to say, though, you're talking about Harry getting back into the equation. When Harry and Peter, like, have their meet cute.
That's
where-
a better romantic scene than him and Gwen. It really is. Like the stares, the looks they're giving each
There's
other.
so much that's happened that could potentially
Yeah.
fuck up this relationship, and
and
we're all
they're
just
skipping rocks, and they're doing like,
But
yeah.
this is what's so fucking hilarious to me is that they're there and he's like, "Hey, dude, it's been a long time." Yeah, man, it's been a real long time. You know, like they're just kind of like doing the I'm
and Harry doesn't know how to react. He's like, "I got some shit to do."
well, no, like Peter, like he's like, "Hey, man, I came here to see you," and then Peter's like, "Okay, I'm just gonna leave." And then they say something, and then suddenly they're hanging out.
Harry
throwing
makes a
out.
joke from
Yeah,
back,
with-
and then there's
Yeah.
Like it's like
it's back. Oh yeah, my
yeah,
bro.
motherfucker. And then like they're making references to like, you know, Harry like getting with supermodels and
The other
Thing
thing,
down, supermodel.
I can't see that happening. Well, even though he's boring enough for a supermodel to be into.
the other thing too with that, when Peter's like, "Hey, I know what you're going through," and I was like, "Oh, he's gonna talk about Uncle Ben," and it's
Yeah.
like, "Remember, you were there when my dad died," and I was like, "You just completely you went through this 2 years ago."
Yeah, you're going back to something you can barely remember, and you're shitting on the memory of your uncle.
Well, and also the timeline with that is a little off. Like, when did he get abandoned and his
It's
dad
not
died?
clear. We can't
it's
figure
all
it out.
over. The math
Right
is
now,
wrong.
I can't figure that out. I can't do the
But
arithmetic.
again, like the Uncle Ben thing is a good point because he is not brought up at all. Like
No.
this is the driving force.
Except for Sally Field being sad, Sally Field saying your uncle will be proud of you at graduation, and then
that flashback at the
flashback.
beginning.
Yeah, that's it.
It's like
For the person
it's-
who's like the motivation
See,
for
And,
Peter.
and the only
He
good thing
isn't-
about the first
yeah.
Amazing Spider-Man, Martin Sheen gives a legitimately great performance.
he is not guilt-ridden enough.
No.
He is too comfortable.
Yeah.
He's too like he's so at ease with everything about his current situation.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole like I don't know like that's something about the character as he is typically done or as how I've seen him done in the past is that he's trying to find his way through the world, trying to find his way, like you say, his relationship with Spider-Man as Peter Parker, trying to kind of make a life out of this path he has chosen.
Peter Parker's a character of consequence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's
and
nothing,
he
there's
has no
nothing
consequence in
Not in
this.
this, no.
Exactly.
I'd also like to bring up the humor, too, because that's one thing people keep going back to, like, oh, Andrew Garfield's funnier, he's jokey and stuff. Okay, so, like, Robert Downey Jr. making wisecracks.
Yeah.
It's established, like, it makes sense that that humor comes from a sense of entitlement.
Yeah.
Right, he's got a very specific sense of humor. Or Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, coming from, you know, like, just kind of being cocky and, you know, an asshole, you know, but it works.
It's just knowing that no matter what anyone can say to him, he can still destroy them.
Yeah, because he's that badass action hero.
Yeah.
But, like, for Peter Parker, like, in the comics, cartoons and stuff, like, I would say that his sarcasm, and this might just be me, like, putting myself onto things, but it, like, comes from being an outsider or be, you know...
And him using that as a tool.
Yeah.
Not as just something to be... Yeah, exactly. Not just to be... a cocky asshole to the guy. He's using it as a distraction to get their mind off something else.
Yeah,
and like you say, it's sarcasm stemming from the fact he's had to experience all this shit and couldn't do much about it because he's this geeky kid all his life. Like
that's how you cope with people not liking you.
Exactly. There's that meaning behind it. This just comes off as him just being a cocky d-bag to people.
Which is why I say he's turned into the bullies that this movie is trying so hard to put down.
Yep.
But his sense of humor, again, because Harry and Electro are way more sympathetic than him.
Yeah,
but also,
definitely.
like, he's, in the comics, he's smart, and, like, his humor kind of goes along with that, like, where he is quicker than people.
In either of these movies, I don't get the impression that he is a smart person.
No, we'll get to that soon, hopefully,
but,
once we get on track. But, like, he's way more like, okay, so, like, Ryan Reynolds in Green Lantern, or Taylor Kitsch in Battleship, or especially Shia LaBeouf. This is Sam Witwicky all over the place, really.
Well,
all the ticks and the...
You know what's a coincidence?
What?
Who wrote the Transformers movies?
Yeah.
Roberto Orci and... What's his name?
Kurtzman.
Roberto and Orci. Their names are all over both of those characters.
Yeah, that's true.
They just keep writing. They only know how to write one style of teenage boy.
I would like to put a plug out for a it's not a guilty pleasure because I legitimately like it. I think it's good. But people like us, not enough people have seen it. It's a good dramedy. Chris Pine, Elizabeth Banks especially is great.
Okay, I remember seeing a trailer.
They wrote and directed it. It's good. Like
they directed it as a duo.
No, Kurtzman directed it.
Okay.
That's the thing that worries me about Star Trek is that Orci didn't direct the good movie.
This is his first movie of directing ever.
A lot is writing on that for him. It could sink his career. Hopefully it does. Or maybe it'll be amazing and he'll finally be a quality artist. But who knows?
Another Kurtzman Orci movie that I can get into is Mission Impossible 3.
Oh, hell yeah. I dug that one. I dug, did they do 4?
No.
Or was that Chris McQuarrie who did 4?
Yeah, Chris McQuarrie.
See, okay, but 3?
Because he and Tom Cruise seem to do everything
they're bros.
together.
They're bros now.
That's for life.
Yeah. Well, I dug that the Mission Impossible 3. It was a good step forward for that.
Yeah.
Because J.J. Abrams yet again, it's like they are his boys. Mm-hmm.
But what's not a good step forward is Amazing Spider-Man 2, which we need to get back to.
Yeah.
So okay,
we're trying to find the light in the darkness.
We hate this movie so much. We'll talk about any other movie. I think.
So we have Electro he falls in the shit.
Wait, you're skipping.
What am I skipping? No, because we were just talking about that before.
We didn't talk about his birthday.
That's when we were.
No, like his actual scene of him.
Wait,
like
get to it.
Getting up in his room and it was in the mirror and he's getting ready and shit.
I like that scene. I like that.
And there's like his fucking shrine of Spidey. And he was like, "Oh, my birthday cake! You got me a birthday cake."
He's more like Black Cat there, actually.
This is me cringing.
Yeah, it was just like, come on, dude.
This is me being like Jamie Foxx, man. You have an Oscar.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? Why are you in this movie?
But yeah,
why are you like? You should have looked at the script and just being like, "Hell no, I ain't doing this. You got to come up with something better than that."
Yeah. Is that your Jamie Foxx voice?
Yes. That's every voice. But he. So after that, then there's the Smythe shitting on him.
Yeah.
Before that, though, when he was in the elevator with Gwen, and there's that little awkward thing.
She's like, she remembered my name.
And then he has the invites for a birthday party thing, and that's the only time it gets mentioned is in that stupid elevator.
But
scene.
he doesn't invite. He's like, he's not a room to you. It's just
too many
Spider-Man
celebrities and stuff.
But there's gonna be like moguls.
Yeah. And then he goes down to fix this electric whatever.
So they treat Max Dillon like he's a grunt.
Yeah.
But, like, he has these important blueprints, and he's the only one who does this
He's
stuff.
like an engineer, he knows all this stuff.
Just like Peter, he's smart on and off.
He wants to be seen as important, though. He kind of has, as far as his personality goes, he kind of comes off as the kind of person who...
He wants the thanks and glory for his job.
But he might not be willing to do the work for it, or he might, or his social quirks might not have allowed him to move forward in that regard.
Yeah.
So it's but he still wants to be seen as someone who's important, which then leads to
the best justification for this script I've heard yet.
Yeah. Which then leads to him, when he eventually gets empowered by these electric eels, he suddenly...
I just want to say that you very casually said he got empowered by these electric eels.
That's the most casual anyone could ever say that, too.
So the other day I got empowered by these electrical eels. You won't believe what happened.
I have to go up on this thing, on a really sketchy ladder thing, climb over to fix this wire, because there's no other way in this whole super dangerous area that we have a safe, in this like state-of-the-art building, we don't have a safe way to fix this cable that obviously he had to do was put it back together. So it's like there should be some easy way to get to it so we could just...
Okay, we don't have automated spider robots that can fix this for us?
Doc Ock's not in here yet.
Okay, so in... Jamie Foxx has said this is a more grounded take on the character. In Amazing Spider-Man 10, when this character was introduced back in 1963, he was an electrician, just a grunt worker who worked on the telephone wire and got electrocuted.
That's as ground level as you can get.
Right?
Yeah.
Except for a grounded electricity pun you can make. But yeah. But see, the character, the messed up fanboy Jamie Foxx, like, I could see that guy, like, being like, I have superpowers now? I'm gonna have a costume like Spider-Man. See, the comics costume would make sense for this character.
Yeah.
He'd be like Syndrome from The Incredibles. Yeah. He'd be like, look, I'm a superhero too, Spider-Man. Oh no, I blew up everything.
But no,
that's
he has to...
what it was.
It's just,
oh my God.
Yeah. Just like, oh God, I'm falling. Shit, I just talked to these eels a little bit ago like they're my bros. And now they're coming bite me and electrocuting me and shit.
Fix the gap in my teeth, and now I hate Spider-Man.
That was the best part that I never realized.
When I first saw it, I completely missed that.
Yeah.
And then our friend Matt Miller was like, "Hey, how'd you like that?" And I was just like, "Wait, that happened?"
Yeah, his gap magically closed up. And then so then what we're left with then is this charred whatever of a body.
Yeah.
Oscorp's like, shit, we'll just cover this up, whatever.
Yeah, they're so casual about, like, who was this again? I don't care.
And then that
we don't need to look into it or anything either, by the way.
And that Gwen chase happens because she looks
all the time
after that first thing.
And she's the only person who remembers his name.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So of course she's going to Google it.
And what does he do when he breaks out of his... Which was also kind of... I commend them for going a little gross there and having him bust out of his gross, like, burnt up shell of body, whatever it is he was walking.
Because now he's pure electricity.
Yeah, and then instead of just like, hey, what the fuck's happening to me? I should get home.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna throw on a hoodie which somehow doesn't burn up, and some pants which doesn't burn up, and go for a walk in the street just like, what happened?
Walk in Times Square conveniently.
Well, and also, like, while the special effects are generally good for the character...
He's just Dr. Manhattan.
That's
like
true.
you say, they could have done, like, that whole Syndrome idea, that idea of having him be really garish and overblown with his costume.
And it takes away the facial expressions from the most expressive actor in this movie.
Yeah, definitely.
And then the voice changes too, because that's tampered with.
He speaks in dubstep now.
Yeah, oh man. All the music in this movie, who scored it? Was it Zimmer?
It was Zimmer.
Shame on you. He's an American treasure, or whatever country he's from.
Germany.
He's a cinematic treasure. How did he do this?
And he used his idea
of friends.
Well, he used what would have been his Superman theme had he done it a more Chris Reeves style in the beginning of this movie when that triumphant whatever.
The score did not work for me at any point, especially like whenever like Electro is doing his shit. You can just I think you pointed this out to me one time. You can hear people within the score itself. Like if you buy the soundtrack or listen to the soundtrack, you hear people going like, "Hate kills my Like they're just these people chanting something.
I think that I'm going to blame that on Pharrell. because he helped with it.
Well, it's
He helps co-score
like
it.
stuff like that works well when you're speaking in Spanish, like Matulo, Matulo. Like that's cool because
Well, it's a chant. There's a context for that.
and it's creepy and it's unsettling and it's actually connected to the origins of the comic book character from that particular movie.
Yeah.
But here it's just like at this point, why does Electro want to kill Spider-Man? When you first hear that, it's at the point where Electro is still broing with Spider-Man.
Well, because remember, when he goes out and Spider-Man tries talking to him, and then that one cop didn't listen and shoots him, and then that's all of a sudden Spider-Man's fault, and that's the impetus for him hating Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And him...
Well,
which...
it's not like this is a movie where anyone makes rational decisions.
This is the first time we see something that completely baffles me throughout the rest of the movie, too.
Okay.
People gathering around the fight like it's a goddamn wrestling match. What is that? Why aren't the cops like, hey, get the fuck out of here? There's some dude who's throwing some electricity shit around.
Yeah.
Everybody could die. You're touching metal because they're...
Bring your kids.
Yeah, because they have the middle barriers. No one thought this through.
Yeah, no one's like running and hiding. They're standing there.
Everyone's like, yeah, go Spider-Man. No,
like,
get out of there. You could die.
At least in like Godzilla, at least in Avengers, at least in
every
Batman,
other goddamn
at least
movie.
in Man of Steel. Everyone's just trying to get the fuck out of Dodge when the shit's going
These
down.
guys, it's like this is like we're watching WWE right now. Let's do this.
And
the Knicks aren't playing tonight. We're just
and for Spider-Man to like basically
let them stand there,
and
not try to divert the dude away from it.
But also like just the franchise of Spider-Man to like treat New Yorkers as idiots like that. It's like you're the New York hero.
Yep.
Like
in a city full of heroes, you are the New York hero.
Yeah.
Okay, and like the way the Avengers make the NYPD look, they make them look good in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's work together. Let's do this.
Well, the part where like they question Cap, and then Cap just kind of shows him what's what, and then he's just like, "All right, we're on this." You know, they're capable.
Absolutely.
The cops in the Amazing Spider-Man universe,
They're so aloof.
They are so dumb. They are so stupid.
They are.
They get turned into lizard people.
I will say though, visually, that whole first intro of Electro where he's destroying the shit out of Times Square, that looked cool.
Yeah.
That looked cool. This is one of the...
It
didn't leave an impact. It looked cool.
And even the last Electro fight, that was actually really neat.
Except
slow motion bothered me.
Except it looked like a friggin' video game in some parts.
And that's true of all the CGI in both of these movies.
They're video games,
There's a lot of time spent. It looks like video game cutscenes.
Yeah, like I don't know, like who Sony's hiring to do the special effects, but yeah, it's like hell. Like
obviously they don't have money.
Obviously,
they had to spend so much on marketing for that. Like this is the most aggressive marketing I've ever seen. They're losing so much on that.
Yeah, that's why even though this movie is making some money, it got beat by by Seth Rogen movie.
Neighbors.
Yeah, it got beat by Neighbors. Which, I mean, comedies don't usually beat these big superhero blockbusters anymore.
Yeah, it's not a good sign.
And it only made, like $92 million? And
it made $3 million less than Captain America domestically in opening weekend. And, like, Captain America, like, it started off with a much lesser-known character, a less attended movie.
And a less exploitive marketing plan.
Yeah, it wasn't everywhere.
They sank all that money into it, and just to get that marginal success out of what they have, it's like, it's not anything for them.
And in the end, the vibes are good from that movie.
They're
talking about
forward.
it now for positive reasons.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about Spider-Man 2 right now.
This much money on a superhero blockbuster, let alone like any blockbuster, let alone a superhero one, to have it be completely marginalized in the weeks after.
Well, I mean,
that does not happen.
X-Men opens
very soon.
2 days. Yeah.
This was a killer year for a blockbuster season. It's just one after another.
But this had the plum spot.
And Spider-Man
they were supposedly kicking it off. They did not kick it off.
Nope.
They're going to now be the one that gets overshadowed by the other ones this year. This one's going to be forgotten.
Exactly. I'm glad we got it out of the way because we know that Guardians of the Galaxy is just going to be the most amazing thing ever.
And people are super excited about X-Men.
This is not about Guardians of the Galaxy. This is not about X-Men.
Like we said, we're going back. We're trying to find the light in the dark. We're like, there's so much wrong, but there's so much right that can happen around it.
But
we'll pick a more pleasant topic for our next podcast.
But so
Okay, yeah.
So-
Let's talk about Gwen again.
Yeah, because that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Trying to get back with Gwen.
Okay. Well, yeah, and that's
Yeah.
what Peter's trying to do. He's trying to get back with Gwen,
He's
and they
working-
have this
yeah.
weird, like, kind of like, well, you shouldn't be so cute. You should be so cute. And you shouldn't be so cute.
Here's my thing. Shouldn't she have been entertaining the idea of going over to England for Oxford or whatever while they were still
Before?
together?
Yeah, no shit.
So
That's
she had been
true.
hiding it from him since
Oh, I didn't
then?
think about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, maybe she was going to tell him at the graduation dinner
true.
in Chinatown.
I suppose, yeah.
But then he just went and shit on that, so she's like, well, I ain't going to tell him
But
now.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
An Oxford fellowship or whatever doesn't happen, like, the
No, that's
summer
right.
before.
Time. That's time.
Like,
Yeah, that's-
you know,
you-
hey, I was
you-
applying
that's
for
months
this.
and months of
You
work.
lay that groundwork in
Yeah.
the summer before your senior year. You try and make that happen, like, almost,
Right before you go to
yeah,
college?
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, so that happens, and she has like they get back together and break up
Well,
5
yeah.
times,
When-
and then to find like it's
When she, like, when they run into each other, when she's going to that Oxford thing, and there's that weird back and forth of, oh yeah, oh what, oh yeah, oh what?
Yeah.
And I was just like, but you don't know what to feel, and it's just like, you're just confusing me.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this?
This was 500 Days of Spider-Man.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
This was the fear as soon as we heard that
Yeah, it
Mark
was-
Webb was going to be directing
This
the
is gonna
first
be
one.
500
Yeah.
Days of Summer all over again.
And then it finally happened here because it was just a muddled mess.
Yeah.
Where you had two people who I really didn't think should be together.
they shouldn't.
There's
They're-
no reason for them to be
No.
together.
As we covered, there was really no
It's
real groundwork laid for it,
They
aside
did,
from
yeah.
that Uncle Ben wink wink, where he
Yeah.
exposed him as being obsessed with her,
Which-
and her feeling bad after Uncle Ben died.
And it's like in any other situation that would have been viewed as creepy.
yeah,
It still is. in
It
my
still is
opinion, yeah.
creepy, but it's like the girl definitely would have thought it was creepy and been like, "Oh, I don't know if I want to be associated with you
Okay,
anymore."
especially someone you hardly
But
talk
that's
to.
because
yeah.
he's not really a nerd. He really isn't
He's
a
just a
social
background
outcast.
guy. He's just a background.
He's a cute, troubled dude who's
Yeah.
smart. And he skateboards and take pictures, and there's all these appealing, hipstery,
Yeah.
twee things about him, and I'm gonna like it.
Yeah.
You know? And then, and he's Spider-Man? Well, geez, how can I not be in love with this guy?
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
fine with all that. There was one, I can't remember which like scene it was. It was before some Electro fight. Like they're talking, and he's like, and she like turns to him, and he's gone.
Yeah.
And he's not like, excuse me, I need to do this, or she doesn't say go. Like,
Yeah.
oh, wait, what's the?
She turns around and his like clothes are laying there.
Yeah, okay, there's
He's gone.
New Avengers #1. Spider-Man and Mary Jane are like having a romantic evening for the first time in a long time. They've established this in the dialogue, and then they see a big Electro coincidentally, it lights up the raft, and then Mary Jane turns to him, go. What a great way to establish a relationship between two people.
And there's an understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you respect her, she respects him. It makes sense.
We'll get laid when you get back, you know?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
sort of a thing. Yeah.
This is,
Whatever they
This
do.
is, oh, you left me? Cut off. You're cut off.
I'm done with you again.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean it this time.
But, I mean, he was a jerk there. He could have said, like, excuse me, I need to take care of this, or get somewhere safe,
No, it was
right?
just
Like,
her
he doesn't
getting
even...
distracted.
He's like,
She's distracted. He's like, well, I could get out of this awkward ass situation.
Yeah.
That'd
See ya.
be funny if they actually played it that way.
Yeah.
You know?
Kind of like a Scott Pilgrim way, where he's like
Totally.
obviously avoiding knives.
Yeah.
Like, God, that would have been really funny, actually.
But, ooh.
But no, he doesn't.
Serious.
Their relationship isn't anything more than just two people angsting at each
And
other.
any logical person will realize if a relationship goes back and forth that much so often,
yeah,
It's not worth
it's
it.
not going to work.
It's like, and I have this
Ever.
opportunity.
Especially if there's that
Yeah.
threat of her leaving.
and
Let
going
her
to
go,
another-
Spider-Man.
You're going back
another
and forth.
continent.
You're so back
Yeah.
and forth, and she's like, I'm leaving. Well, shit. Maybe I should have just let you and let you have some stability. No. I want to keep you. I'm going to do whatever it
it's
takes.
really-
I'll go to
yeah.
England if I have to. I'm going to write I love you in spiderwebs on a bridge. Like,
I threw up in my mouth when that happened, and then like her reaction to it. Yeah, there's no consistency from one scene to another. There's no like this is how I felt before. It's always like as soon as the new like attempt at either reforging the relationship or ending it happens, they completely like go tabula rasa on everything. They're just like, oh, I don't know why I was mad at you before.
Mm-hmm. Even though there was big, obvious reasons. What good? Let's do it. Let's try and make this work. Yeah.
And
Screw our problems.
That's the tough thing about making her this independent, strong woman.
She doesn't come off that way before.
No.
Yeah.
Or
it's at random times when the screenwriter
and then they fall back into those tropes. Like right there where Peter's like, I'm sorry, baby. I'll follow you to England if I have to. I love you forever. We're going to be together. And then instead of her being logical and just being like, no, there's no way that's going to work. I'm smarter than that. I know this is going to be bad. She's just like, oh, Peter, all right, let's try it.
And that's the only reason why this isn't 500 Days of Spider-Man. Because the
female lead in 500 Days of Summer was stronger than that.
Yeah, so Summer was smart enough to be like,
strong person.
No, where
Gwen is obviously weak.
This is going nowhere. I'm going to walk away from you.
That's the thing. Like Gwen doesn't have her own. Like she talks about Oxford, but she doesn't have her own thing going on. She's not her own character.
Nope.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Spidey loses the first Electro fight, and it's like, oh, electricity must have something to do with this.
Yeah.
So, the smartest kid.
It's not must. It's when he's going to thwip at him, and then the electricity happens, and then one of his web shooters just like explodes.
Yeah.
And then that part was cool though, where he only had the one web shooter,
and he had to
shoot it into his one hand. Out to somebody else, shoot, bring it around, make sure no one touched the poles. That little thing was cool, but that's why he needed to do something because it exploded the shit out of his web shooter.
Okay, so Peter Parker, who people have been like, oh, he's a smart kid. I believe he's a science nerd that I always wanted him to be.
Who doesn't know how electricity works?
And how he finds out about electricity. He looks up YouTube videos about batteries exploding.
And let me try some shit.
In the garage, and there's a music video of it exploding.
And that song.
What was the song?
Oh, yeah, it was
a Philip Phillips song.
Yeah.
See, if I were
you.
Yeah. If I were...
This is, as soon as that happened, I was like, this is not the goddamn music Spider-Man would listen to.
If I were to pick a song for that scene where someone is like... exploding batteries and can't figure out how to work. I would pick. Have you seen the Droids cartoon from the 80s?
Yeah.
In trouble again. In trouble again. Yeah, like some corny 80s song. But I'm thinking more like Raimi would do than
that's
Mark
what I was going to say.
Webb,
That reminds me of some of the Raimi stuff.
Yeah, where it's fun.
Yeah.
But both of these movies just have this obsession with montages set on computer Google searches or Bing searches, depending on who is sponsoring them at that given time. Because in the first one, he was the one man on Earth who used Bing. In the second one, I think he used Google.
Mm-hmm.
He used YouTube. He used YouTube, so that was obviously Google.
Was he using Internet Explorer too?
He probably was.
I'm using Bing on Internet Explorer. All right, guys, this is the most efficient way for me to find my Spider-Man shit.
But. Well, no, because the montage where it's the Philip Phillips is playing is when he's obsessing over his dad, isn't it?
No, it's when he.
Yeah, because that's the one where he's like trying to research his dad.
Bad
they are back to back.
Yeah.
It's like we have the dad one because they have this reoccurring thing with him looking in his closet and seeing
the suitcase.
The leather.
And then he gets mad and chucks it.
Which he looked through already. In the first one.
He already tore it apart.
But for some reason, the second time he finds... The first one, they give him his suitcase.
Oh, yeah, I remember he carries that around.
He finds his glasses and his badge and stuff. But for some reason... Oh, yeah, there was that secret compartment in there.
Yeah, then he finds the paper with the formula that's been missing.
But that second montage where he's fucking around with the batteries, that's like the dubstep stuff. Because every time... something having to do with electricity happens, then it's dubstep.
Yeah.
So
it sucks both ways.
Yeah, and then
2 ways to Sunday.
And then he never realizes what's stupid until Gwen's finally like, dude, you know how electricity
works.
We'll
get to that. We'll get to that. She is.
Well, she makes that work.
I have problems with that, and we'll get to that.
She's number one in the class. He's number 2. Yada yada yada.
Okay, so
basically, those montages are terrible though. Yep. Yeah, you have one, then you have one scene, and then it goes from Philip Phillips montage, one scene with Harry, and then it goes to dubstep montage, where he figures out, oh, this is how I can counteract him messing up my suit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and Harry wants he comes to the conclusion of Harry Osborn in the Raimi movies that, like,
that's what I was
you
gonna
take
say.
pictures of... Yeah.
As much as we're not trying to keep referencing these Raimi movies,
The movies do.
they take that right from there. Harry having to be obsessed with Spider-Man for some reason that leads him to be the Goblin.
And the first one did a lot of that where, like, they're not moments from the comics, they're moments from the movie that, figured out how to do a cinematic origin story well, so they just copied it. But tried to
even though they're trying
to awkwardly.
Yeah, they're trying to distance themselves from it. They borrow a shit ton.
Also, I get that Harry's desperate and doesn't want to die, but when someone tells you, "Hey, there's shit in my blood, and I don't know if it will kill you or harm you seriously. I'm just doing this for the best of you." Then why are you just
I'm already happy HIV, Peter.
Get out of here! No, I hate you. And then the worst thing ever that Dane DeHaan did in that movie, and Spider-Man's hanging right outside the window, like, he does like a "I'm gonna get you, Spider-Man" type thing. I hate you, Spider-Man! As he knocks over his table, and I was just like, wow, I didn't believe that for 1 second.
Yeah. And also, like, there's all this other shit going on surrounding Harry and the board of Oscorp that no one gives a shit about because we haven't brought it up yet because it doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not saying
The board
anything of
wants to get Harry out because he's a young kid, and he's blah, 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 blah.
It's just, yet again, it's just...
Oh,
a string from a story that they just threw in that connects to nothing.
There's the absolute abortion that is the Ravencroft Institute scenes.
Yeah.
See,
I think we're about there, actually. No, we're at the subway car full of answers. Okay. That's how I phrased it. Subway car full of answers.
Well, I mean, they had Max in the Ravencroft at that point.
I guess.
But, like,
they're Arkham Asylum. Because they can't have their own original idea.
Or they can't have Rikers Island or something. Yeah.
But
Ravenscroft is in the comics.
The implications of it is so creepy and crazy.
Another thing, how did this get by?
Yeah, it's like how do the authorities not care that Oscorp just has this like,
research facility?
It's not
site.
even a research facility. It's like it's a house of horrors.
Well, yeah, it's an Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, for this realistic movie to have Dr. Kafka and experimenting, who's a woman in the comics, by the way?
Kafka.
Yeah.
Well, when I saw Kafka,
they take all the good roles away from the women.
When I saw Kafka right away, I was like, oh, are they just gonna like backhandedly introduce Doc Ock right now?
Yeah,
that's the way he looks. And I was like, and that one does surprise me.
That's a golden opportunity.
By the way, they just pigeonholed the rest of these characters.
Or Adrian Toomes.
Yeah, exactly. But nope, Kafka.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yes, subway car full of answers.
Yeah. So okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's too after that whole thing, and he shakes the shit, and the coins fall out. And
and he just I wonder.
Yeah, he goes to the banned subway, and the secret subway car comes up from.
Yeah, and the mystery box opens, and we don't give a shit.
Yeah. Well, okay, so this scene has like the completion of what happened at the beginning with the video that Richard Parker was making.
Because if you notice, he says upload to Roosevelt.
Yeah,
that's the Roosevelt line or whatever. Because old Gimpy Roosevelt didn't want to show people his polio.
How the fuck does this guy have the resources and the ability to build
subway car?
To have this?
Why didn't he just hide in that subway
He's
car?
Super genius. Like, what the?
Why did he go on a plane?
Why fly out of the country? That's not going to make you safe from a billionaire.
No.
You leave the United States, they'll be able to get you even quicker
on a plane.
Right where they don't think to find you.
Yeah.
And an old gimp dude's
just live there for a little bit until you get a better plan, until you get some allies.
Yeah.
Richard Parker
figure out what's going on.
An idiot, you know. Yeah.
Well, but also
he's a super genius, and he had Oscorp resources that he feasibly just jacked for himself.
I guess.
So I mean,
he's a shitty employee.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and they have that whole like he was a traitor, but he wasn't.
No.
Which no one thought. Yeah. No one was like, oh no, he was really a traitor. You feel bad.
As soon as Aunt May brings up the whole thing about him being a traitor. The scene before this.
Wait, she says that he's a traitor?
Yeah.
Well, that's what the cops
or the FBI or whatever that comes to the house and whatever, and he said he was a traitor. He was selling secrets, and then like, all right, I know just without having any more explanation, this is not true. There's nothing to give any credence to this at all. So it's like we know obviously it's a lie. There's no need for a reveal that it was a lie.
Yeah.
We know. And then the stuff that Richard Parker goes on to explain in that video was just like, if Peter had any sense about him, he could have put that together in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Because this is all like, he disappeared, he was working on stuff at Oscorp, spiders are related. The only thing that was revealed was the whole, it's tied to the Parker genome.
Okay.
Which is also something.
We need to get to that, because that's my biggest beef with this whole, like, franchise, what's based on.
Yeah.
It's revealed that, only someone with my blood can have these spider powers or whatever, or won't be affected negatively by the spider thing.
Yeah, it's calibrated to my genome, so only people related to me.
And
Even though that doesn't work. It has to be regulated. Like, if you're doing something like that, and it's regulated to your DNA, even though your kid has it, every person's different, it still won't work.
But that takes the randomness and the Peter's agency away from this story. Yeah. That, Peter, like, gets these amazing powers, and he learns. Like, he doesn't become a superhero right away. He learns responsibility. That's what this story's about. It's, no, you were destined for this, Peter.
Yeah.
Peter Laird, creator of the Ninja Turtles, like, commented on the trailer. It's like, I think that one of the best scenes about the origin of the Turtles is that they weren't created, that they learned.
Accident.
It was an accident, and they learned ninjutsu. Yeah. This is Hollywood just being like, we need
to explain everything.
I found out I'm a great wizard or a great pirate or a great whatever.
My greatness is inherent to me. It's
they
not
don't work
something
at
I
it.
actually earn.
Yeah.
And that's something that, like, there's an online movie critic named Movie Bob who works for The Escapist, and he did an entire piece on exactly that problem with Hollywood right now.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting if you're at all interested in that.
Yeah.
But this, going back to just him finding out all this, there's all these answered questions for him, He finally has some context for what went down. The mystery box has been opened. Why does he not go, well, I should probably just reveal this to the world, and being the tech-savvy kid he is, just WikiLeaks the fuck out of this.
I'm just going to keep it to
bring
myself.
down this giant corporation that is obviously evil.
Or even if that was too risky, hey, U.S. government, wouldn't he be interested in knowing all this shit?
Well, that's what I mean. It's like,
he gets that
anonymously uploaded online, and then all of his work would be done, and he could just continue pimping around doing street crime,
He gets all this information, all this stuff, and what does he use it for in the rest of the movie?
Nothing.
And it's not tied to him either. Like, they won't go after Peter. It'd be like, who did this? Yeah.
It's irrelevant to what this movie is even about. Even though supposedly all these movies are about this exact question. It amounts to nothing.
Well, I'm going to keep this a secret, and I'm going to deal with it myself.
Yeah. So, we go nowhere from that.
Yep.
Essentially, this movie just works itself all over
loops,
all over the loops of this wall, and it turns out looking like a rat king instead of a web.
Yeah,
it's just a mess.
It's a mess.
So somewhere along the way, Harry frees Electro.
Yes, this
happened somewhere.
This is when
Harry's sick and
Osmond. They cut Harry out of it because they reveal and say that all this stuff,
which is not illegal at all, or not legal at all,
with that Max Dillon and stuff, it's all his fault, and he didn't handle stuff right. So they kick him out of the company. So now he can't be saved by Spider-Man. He doesn't have his company.
Yeah.
He's gonna die poor and alone. Rich man can't have that. Goes to bust out Electro.
Which, like, they just let him do that, by the way. They let him in,
Yeah, it's just like, because
there's no security
apparently
there.
the news hasn't reached there that fast in an information age where information gets translated like that.
Well, more than likely, I would assume you would need a badge to get in there.
Well, no, he was just like, I'm Harry Osborn. I own this shit.
Yeah, but
like,
he killed some security guards, but, like, that would be monitored, and there'd be other people. They'd have, like, things in place at this crazy institute.
His great idea to get everyone else to just peace out. I'm gonna pull the fire alarm. Like,
yeah.
And then he goes in, brings Electro out of the thing.
Okay,
and it's just like, hey, I need your help doing some stuff. This. It's like, why should I help you? And they're like, because I need you. And then
no, actually, okay. I mentioned before, like, Harry and Electro were more sympathetic for me than Peter.
Yeah.
That's the scene that did it, where I actually wanted to follow. I wanted to see a friendship between the two. He's like, I know what it's like to be thrown away.
Yeah.
I felt for the two. I saw
two
that.
broken people, and it's also the point where they're both at their lowest.
Yeah, and it's like, I want to see these two become friends. I want to see them get better, but it's like, no, they're Peter doesn't care about them. It just doesn't go anywhere from there.
Spider-Man did us wrong, but not really did us wrong.
Yeah.
Like he didn't do he didn't do Harry wrong. He was trying to help him out. He didn't do Max wrong because he was trying to get them to not shoot the guy.
And that's the problem with the writing, top to bottom, throughout this thing.
There's no real reason for them to be pissed at Spider-Man.
Everything is neutral, so that people can easily oscillate between being upset with each other and then being happy with each other.
Yeah, true.
There's no real, like we said, there's no real consequence for any decision.
Speaking of mystery boxes, that fits so well with the little mystery box that Harry was given by Norman when they first met. And it's got all the secrets and shit on it.
All of that.
Because then that's where he's rifling through all the stupid Sinister Six stuff, and then he finds that power suit and shit, and he mainlined that spider venom. He did.
Spider venom.
He did. That's what he did.
He
did. Oh yeah, we had to kill the spiders, but we kept their venom. The only thing Felicia added to the whole thing.
Yeah.
So what's Harry's conclusion? It's not the spiders, but it's the stuff that bites you.
Happen?
I'll just take an indiscriminate amount, mainline it, and see what happens. And then he starts morphing out, and
this is consistent with what this series does. Because if you recall, the first one, like the lizard guy just decides to I'm just going to test on myself. So
Kurt Connors isn't okay. Which again, in the
I
have a huge problem with the lizard in the Amazing Spider-Man because he's like my favorite villain.
Yeah, because he's super sympathetic.
Yeah,
it's all about his family. It's all about
well, but they don't do that in the movie.
He has no family
for a movie that focuses on Peter's parent issues. Like they don't show Family Man Connors where he has a wife and kid and he cares about Peter and he's a good scientist. He lost his arm in the war.
And half the point is that Peter doesn't want to kill him when he's trying to fight.
He's almost a surrogate father for Peter.
Yeah, but now he's an evil British guy that's trying to turn New York into mutants because Magneto didn't finish his job.
Death is unfortunately rationalized.
Yeah.
You know that's a problem. It's like, and that's what's so great about Spider-Man.
And also,
his goal is not to destroy his enemy.
No,
and they fucked with that design too.
Yeah, he's trying to.
He wants to fix him.
But they fucked with that lizard design, which I mean, that trench coat, or lab coat, that snout, that tail,
he doesn't look like
it's
lizard.
iconic.
Yeah,
no,
they tried to.
It looked a little bit like that. I don't know if it was the OG one or the secondary design for the lizard back in the day. A little bit, but it wasn't as Killer Crocky as this one.
It wasn't as iconic as the '90s cartoon.
Yeah, exactly.
No, well, like those red eyes in the '90s cartoon, those left an impact. That was awesome.
Oh yeah. Well, even how he'd been done in Slott's Amazing Spider-Man run, leading up to this with Shed and stuff like that.
That was Wells, but yeah.
Well, that was Wells, yeah. but I mean, going through that with that character throughout, then even though he had lost his human side eventually and was going all right, there was still that sympathy for the guy and all this hurt that was built up through those stories, and he had that very cool look about him. He had that kind of little bit of hair type thing going on and little spikes. He looked a lot cooler.
Well, and that's what's bothering me about these two movies is that they're clearly doing their research, or at least looking online.
The wrong points.
But they're like Gwen Stacy, Kurt Connors, Flash Thompson, J. Jonah Jameson, all great characters. We could do a lot with. Norman Osborn. Let's not.
Let's look at their worst storylines and put them in this.
Let's not do anything with Aunt May. That would be good.
We've made a lot about what these movies have been about.
I don't know what. Okay.
I was gonna say. I was like, You're catching something. I'm not.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's like because it's all vague. That's the problem. Everything is they can purposely just be willy nilly with everything.
Most movies you can give a synopsis to, like, this is the hero's journey. It's a superhero movie. It should be this is the character arc.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is in here.
No.
There's none.
No. It's like I like the puzzle analogy. It's like you just get a bunch of puzzles mixed up together, and then they constructed something out of it that looks like a puzzle.
The pieces basically fit together, but not completely.
It does. At the end, it doesn't look like anything. Mm-hmm. At least not anything you'd want to glue eyes and frame on a wall.
Yeah. Okay, so at this point, we've just finished
Harry
mainlining Venom.
Yeah.
You see the really disturbing thing of his bones popping and doing the weird shit.
When he transforms,
Yeah.
not to reference Raimi films again, but he looks like Willem Dafoe.
Yeah,
He does.
He turned him into Willem
He
Dafoe.
looked like the teeth, the eyes.
Yeah.
That's what my mom brought that up because
See,
she saw a picture of him when they released the image. She's like, man, he really looks like the guy that played Green Goblin in the old ones. And I was like, that's what's funny. These movies aren't connected.
Yeah. And you know what else is funny? That was Willem Dafoe's face.
Yeah,
this was Dane DeHaan with CG and makeup.
Yeah.
And then they put him in a very reminiscent green
Power
suit,
Yeah.
like that one, which for some reason isn't completely finished, but it is. Like when you look at it, like there's armor and stuff here and all, but then right here it's kind of bare. And then his glider,
he got someone to finish it for him.
his glider is permanently attached to his feet.
Yeah,
he can't
he
get off
never-
it.
he never
It's not a
once
full
sets
glider.
down on the ground.
It's
Yeah.
two like rocket boot things that function like a glider.
Yeah.
And like, because he never once gets off it. And then magical, the venom plus the curative properties of that suit for some reason make him good again. Like as far as health wise.
Something.
I don't know.
And then he's so then
all that happens.
Then we get
Electro, like blacking out New York, right?
Yeah.
Which, speaking of people dying,
This is the
so many
piece.
people died.
So many
Hold
people
up.
must have died.
Hold up.
Okay.
This too.
Yeah.
For how vital and important this electrical mainframe complex is to New York City. Why is every component of it completely out in the open?
That's a good point.
There's nothing covering it. There's nothing.
Obviously,
wide open.
If it was covered, it wouldn't function. Obviously, because it plays off of the natural static electricity in the air. I'm just bullshitting over here.
I was gonna say this being the bullshit.
I'm trying to get down on this movie's level. Okay?
But at the same time, this being the bullshit world it is, they would have been able to find some bullshit material that could conduct that.
Bigger issue that
anybody can go in there and
anybody can
screw
fuck
it up.
with this thing.
Yeah.
It's basically just Stonehenge, electric factory.
And only Gwen apparently knows how to work it.
And apparently no one's working there.
Yeah.
In the middle of there's no one manning the station.
Unless
I want to
kill
bring
them.
up two things though before we get to Gwen.
Okay.
We're gonna probably spend a while on that.
Because the movie picks up after this, so things just kind of escalate.
But before we get to that point, comes back to Aunt May in a hospital, being a nurse. But she's like in charge. She's like, "Oh, come on, everyone! Yeah, let's go. Let's she's
Isn't she a rookie? Isn't this
everyone's confused. Nothing electrical works. Nothing whatever. Aunt May, this works off batteries. It's old because I'm old and I remember that. I remember when things operated not off of electricity.
So she obviously had been a nurse at some point in her life, and she needed to go back to school to get your continued ed.
I'll give you that.
Yes, okay.
But yeah, that's
fighting for her. I really am.
Why was this in here?
But the other thing in this electrical blackout, so they cut to this air traffic control station, which, don't cut to that at all. Like, if you're just doing a cool CGI thing, don't, go to these terrible implications.
Yeah.
They keep kind of these planes, and then, when the power comes back on, the planes, two planes are going towards each other and miss each other.
Yeah.
Which, if you know anything about planes, there's very specific air traffic lanes, and if you get within even a few miles of another plane, you can shift their draft and force them down.
Yeah.
But not even a coked up Denzel Washington would attempt to twist a plane like that for a little bit.
Well, and the other point
with Samuel Jackson and Snakes and Liam Neeson.
The other point with the
back,
plane, there's utterly no reason for that part other than to just create tension.
Yeah.
There's no one on the planes that you should care about. Mm-hmm. There's nothing. It's just like, hey, electricity. It's fucking with planes. Oh God!
It's like Spider-Man has no control over what happens to those planes apart from getting the power back on.
Yeah. Which he doesn't do.
Well,
what Gwen does.
Yeah.
And by the way, her expertise that he needed her for was a big red button that said on, essentially.
Yeah.
There's just this big button to reset, and she's like, well, poof.
Everything's fixed now.
Only she could have done that.
Yeah.
Well, but here's the thing. She proves herself again and again to be smarter than him.
Yeah.
She's like, no, here's what you need to do.
Because he couldn't figure out a big red button.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm gonna go to the mainframe. She's like, no, I know this mainframe. I'm coming with you. I can do this.
Apparently, Oscorp apparently
Yeah.
She hasn't even graduated from college yet. she's been interning there. How does she know so fucking much? How is she so competent?
She's a modern woman, Chuck.
Also, this is where
not damsel in distress.
This is where we get the bullshit rub a magnet whatever on your, or what is it, his battery or magnet or something, rub it on your
magnetize
thing.
it.
Well,
magnetize
it's
it.
Comic book movie,
it's just like, all right, so that's all he needed to do.
Yeah.
And why didn't he just figure that out himself?
Yeah.
But still, she did.
Yeah, she did.
You know, and then
So now we're left with Peter that has no common sense.
Yeah, and
because Gwen was his common sense.
What the hell's going to happen to this man?
This motherfucker's
in
gonna
the future,
die.
you know? How much
He's
longer
gonna
is it
die.
last?
So Peter like webs her up to a police car. She's like, "I'm going." No, you're not. And he leaves, being a jerk again. And she's like, "Peter."
Yeah.
And then she gets out of it because
she has a cute moment, like
That is nice.
That might, like you talk about, like the little glowing sparks
Yeah.
of light. Like that's something that I did like, even though at the same time I was just like, it's just more twee bullshit that they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, okay, it worked. It was kind of genuine.
Yeah.
You know, it
Yeah, when she puts her hand on the mouth after
Yeah.
saying Peter, that is fun. Yeah.
yeah.
But so she's a modern woman though, not damsel in distress. She drives the police car to where the battle is.
Wait, she actually drives the police car there?
Yeah,
Yep.
she jacks it.
I thought she just like just appeared
Nope,
there.
she steals a police
Oh,
car.
she's just like, well, my dad died.
I can do it.
They're not gonna care.
Yeah.
Peace out. I'm taking your car.
Okay. And she arrives at the scene of the electric grid, and like she comes out, and it's almost like Mark Webb told Emma Stone, "Okay, you're a smart, intelligent actress. Do an impression of a crazy bitch."
Yep.
Like that's what she's it's not consistent with the previous Gwen portrayal.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's like what a man's idea of a crazy bitch is.
Yeah, because Gwen in the first one was pretty level-headed.
Yeah.
This one, she's everywhere. She's
Yeah.
straight cuckoo.
And she's mad at Peter, and Peter's like, "No, you can't be there, can't be here."
Yep.
And
I
then
mean, I know how to do this. Red button.
yeah, and then Harry comes.
Yep.
And Peter, instead of like webbing her away, or he's like,
Sleeps with
"Run!" and he waits for her to run, and Harry takes her.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
what happens.
And then
he
Harry-
doesn't do anything. He doesn't like hold Harry
And
down,
I like-
web her away, push her out of the way.
And I like how, just because Gwen's there, Harry then knows that Peter's Spider-Man.
That makes some sense.
I get it,
I
but at
it.
the same time, like, just because Gwen's there.
Yeah, well, it's like why wouldn't she be there? You know, because this is a question I've had.
Yeah.
Is it like why is a bigger deal not made about her being there at the end of the movie?
Yeah.
It's just like, well, okay,
Yeah.
why the hell is this college student caught up in this battle of superhumans?
Yeah.
Why is how did this happen? Granted, the entire city was caught up in this battle of superhumans.
Because
But
they're
why was
watching,
she
yeah.
so isolated?
Yeah, yeah.
Why is that not a bigger deal made
That's
out of
true.
that? Why did people not like try and narrow it down? Because is the authorities not as concerned about the identity of Spider-Man? Are they not trying to stop him
seem to
anymore?
be.
You know what I'm concerned about, Chuck?
What?
Dane DeHaan's goblin voice.
Yeah, that was really bad.
I forgot.
Peter!
Yeah.
Peter!
Well, obviously that's his condition making him talk that
obviously.
way. Obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah. So Gwen dies. Which were you
we had-
surprised?
remember we had to deal with Electro first.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I was about to say.
Oh, yeah, Electro dies
We forgot
first.
about. But does he die?
That's
No,
true.
he just because we've seen
because
him
he
does the
tear apart.
Cyclops thing. Yeah.
Well, no,
And then
since
we've seen him-
He's Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah,
basically.
we've seen him tear apart and come back
He'll
together.
just bring himself back together eventually, so he can be in Sinister Six.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
And then, and then the huge thing happens.
So
We get-
my question is, with what I was talking about with Gwen,
Yeah.
being smarter than Peter, and then him not wanting her there and her showing up, and him being mad about it. Did she die because she disobeyed our male hero? Like, that's the implication I kind of got. That I have a huge problem with.
Or was it just like she decided to put the needs of the many outweighing the needs of the few?
That's what they like to say, but really, it is what you're saying.
It came across
she
that
died
way.
because she didn't listen to him.
Yeah.
It's like because Peter probably
It
could
was
have
his
solved
fault.
it. He could
Yeah.
have.
Well, it was her
handled
fault.
This.
It was
Yeah.
her fault.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it was not Peter's fault. It was her fault for not
Peter
listening
had
to
nothing
her.
but her best
That's what the
interests at
movie's
heart.
saying, and that's a terrible fucking message,
Yep.
especially when you're trying to be, this is a modern,
This is a
enlightened
strong
woman.
modern woman.
And then the relationship is so great. Their chemistry is amazing. Blah, 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 blah.
It doesn't work.
These are two... Yeah, like, no, this is...
And I have that
no one
problem
comes
with a
out
lot of,
looking good.
like, people are like, Brave is a feminist statement, so I'm the Huntsman's feminist statement because they have swords or bows and arrows. It's like, no, they're not good characters. Like, a bigger feminist statement would be have a character that you care about that's well written.
Just having them fight does not make them a strong character.
Yeah.
You could have them not fight at all, but stick to their guns and have it be a strong female lead.
Yeah.
Well, and not to veer off topic, but, like, do you know, like, the movie The East?
No, I haven't. Ellen Page, right?
Well, Ellen Page isn't the actress that I'm referring to. Britt Marling.
Okay.
She is a better representation of a 21st century feminist character than any of these ones.
Yeah.
But you never hear her brought up because it's like this is a character who makes her own decisions and deals with the consequences. She doesn't get a free pass. And granted, of course, this is an indie thriller.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that people are looking for these positive messages in Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, shit. Why are they looking here? It's just because they like Emma Stone. They like her as a persona. Yeah. They like her in her movies, and they have to say that. And the same with the Hunger Games girl.
Jennifer Lawrence.
I've had some beers. I forgot her name. There's no way I should forget J Law's name. No. But yeah, like that's just another example.
I don't know. I would
They're
say
forcing it. They're forcing.
She's a real character though in Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Like I'll defend. Yeah.
There's some epidness to what she does.
They're forcing that on Gwen Stacy and Emma Stone.
It's what we want things to progress to, which it's like
they would like her to be, but she isn't.
Yeah,
she flat out
so
isn't.
we need to expect more.
Yeah.
All right.
But anyway,
So at this point, Harry's snatched up Gwen.
Yeah.
Flown her up in his non-glider thing.
His boots.
Yep, his boots. Drops her. Peter does the thing that we saw in the trailer where he does his little scoopy catch and then takes the brunt of the glass.
Okay, and this was... Like, I just want to say, the Great Mouse Detective did this better.
Okay, and they didn't know how to use CGI? That was 1986?
No shit.
And it holds up. It does. Yeah.
So then you got Gwen, who is she just like she's stuck hanging on this cog essentially.
Yeah.
So then Peter. Yeah, that's the thing too. She serves as a distraction.
This is so much
she
the
dies.
Great Mouse Detective. It's not even funny.
She ends up dying because Peter is not able to put his full attention on the fight.
Yeah.
Her being there causes her to die. So he's sitting there wedging his foot in the cog while still trying to fight Harry.
Yeah.
Fucking takes him out. I forget how he takes him out.
It just kind of happens.
Yeah.
Like, because it's an afterthought because the focus is on Gwen.
Because then the cog slips, which you would think would end up like breaking his foot or something. But whatever.
You would think, but no, he's Spider-Man. He's got super
snaps her
dexterous.
Snaps her line. She goes falling.
Oh God.
Peter dives. They got all this debris because shit just went boom.
This was the money shot. They spent so much money on this sequence.
Also, he shoots that web.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How likely is it that some of that debris would get in the way that he's dodging with the web?
Well, it's his spider sense.
But I mean, once he fires it, though, once he fires, like the spider sense would do for the aiming of it.
Yeah.
But if something were to just get in the way,
chaos, you know.
Yeah. So it flies through.
Murphy's Law. Something is bound to happen that would have prevented it from getting through.
Snatches her. Right in the abdomen.
Yep. And it makes a hand on its way
there. It looks like a hand. It does. Because then the end flails out like this to catch on something, and it looks like a hand trying to grab her. And then it catches her in the abdomen, kind of like it does. Or no, in the comic it catches her at the ankle.
Yeah, okay, there's differences with comics I'd like to bring up.
So how did it happen originally?
Okay, Goblin tosses her off a bridge.
I've never read it.
Yeah, well, okay, originally, it's Norman Osborn is back as the Goblin again. And, like, he's getting revenge on Peter. He figured out the identity. You know, he remembers everything because he had amnesia before. And, so he takes Gwen Stacy, brings her to the not the Brooklyn, Brooklyn Bridge. And, pushes her off. And Peter, webs her up and catches her ankle. And he doesn't know if she was dead when Goblin pushed her or if he snapped her neck.
Oh.
But you see, in the comic, after the line goes taut, there's a snap.
Yeah.
right by her neck. There's a little snap sound effect.
Is it because like his webbing it wasn't a bungee cord effect? It didn't like.
Well, no, it's the force of going down and being stopped so abruptly that it snapped her neck.
Yeah.
And then this, I was expecting, when I saw it catch her right there, I was expecting in the abdomen, I was expecting a similar thing where it goes taut and then it breaks her back.
That's not what they do
that.
here.
But no, they go for a much more brutal way.
Yeah.
Have him catch her, and then her recoil back,
and her head
cracks her head right on the cement.
Like
and on screen, full front shot of that happening, and I was like, "Damn!" Like that was dark.
That's instant death.
Yeah, that was instant death.
No question.
And then you get the whole Peter grieving thing, right?
Yeah.
But after, as it zooms out, you see the blood start leaking out from her head,
yeah,
and which it should have started before that,
yeah.
but it was, I guess, to add to the dramatic thing and to not have so much blood on there all the time.
And to make it definitive.
Yeah.
There's
there's
no
the blood
bringing her back. There's no taking her to the hospital and Aunt May saving her life.
No, oh
They
man.
totally could have done.
Oh, that would have been terrible.
Tie
it all together.
They totally could have gone there.
Have her find some other arcane piece of medical bullshit.
Yeah.
They used this once, and it worked. Let's grab this, and we'll fix her hand right up. She's good. Woo! No.
Now she's a vegetable.
Yeah.
Oh man.
No. Yep. No. And then.
But let's talk about like the original, the night when Gwen Stacy died.
Yeah.
Okay, when that happened in 1972 or 74, around there, that meant something different than it does now.
Yeah.
Because at the time, that hadn't happened before to a supporting character in mainstream superhero comics. That was revolutionary.
Exactly.
It was a strong... I mean, and this cover, my spidey sense is never on. Someone close is going to die, but who? And it turns out to be Gwen, and then Goblin get killed by his glider, because Norman's on the cover too. But, that was such a big deal. But now... that's Gwen's legacy.
Yeah.
We remember her for dying.
Yeah.
So that takes the effect out of,
That's why when she first was introduced and being the girlfriend, it was just like, okay, so when is she going to die? That's what we want.
This will only end in tears.
Yeah, that's why fans weren't invested in this relationship or this chemistry that casual fans apparently love.
Especially,
we knew it wasn't going to last.
Especially due to the ass ton of leaks from this, where there was a picture showing her in a costume that is very almost identical to the costume she wore in that comic.
And this is another thing. It's like this character has never come back in the comics, except for
clones.
Clones. And I think in House of M.
House of M. That's not like.
But
regular.
We are delving into really bizarre shit. It has never been in continuity. No. I'm suddenly alive again.
It's one of those.
Happened.
It's one of those rules, in comics. There's people who stay dead. Bringing them back would totally tarnish what happened.
And it's
That's
very
Uncle
much
Ben,
the
Waynes.
Yeah. It used
Gwen.
to be Bucky and Jason Todd, but that was
that didn't last.
Yeah.
But those are people you don't touch. They became better characters.
That's true. Yeah. But also in the 70s, we didn't have women in refrigerators, which is a term.
This was the beginning. She was the proto.
Yeah.
It's because people trying to have that same effect and just completely knows.
Where we get that Green Lantern issue with the woman in the refrigerator.
For people listening, Gail Simone coined the term women in refrigerators based off of Kyle Raniere Green Lantern comic in the 90s, where he comes home and looks in his fridge and his girlfriend is cut up into pieces.
I left you something in the fridge or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was Major Force, who was a Captain Atom bad guy that they turned into a Kyle Rayner bad guy for a little bit. And he basically just folded her up and shoved her in a fridge.
Yeah.
And it's a valid concern that when your sole female character is used as a manipulation for, to improve your male character arc. And that's been used in so many other comic book movies,
Yeah.
Well,
better.
And death, period, is a trope in comic books.
It is.
And that's just to bring up the Nolan verse, the Nolan Batman movies, like when Rachel Dawes, or Dawson, whatever, Dawes, when she dies.
Dawson's Creek.
Yeah, when Rachel Dawes dies, that came out of left field. That had
served a purpose.
It served a purpose.
And the way they did that with him saving Harvey Dent, I watched that last night on TV, actually.
And the whole, what was so great about that was it was tied into what the
Two-Face
characters
origin.
were doing to each other. Because it was the Joker manipulating Batman and knowing and fucking with him, basically saying, "Well, I know you're going to run to her, so I'm going to tell you the wrong place of her location."
This was,
and it's in her dying had a major ripple effect, and
Two-Face
and it was
entering
important.
the scene.
And it basically set up the Bruce Wayne character
Yep.
taking 8 years off in The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like there was actual effect to it.
Whereas
This,
how it
they
follows
have
up.
a 2-minute funeral scene.
Which is well done. Like, in another movie, I would have
Yeah.
liked that a lot. It would have meant something.
Yeah.
But you knew it was coming. It didn't leave the same impact.
But because the whole time you're thinking, wow, this bastard just ruined an entire family's life.
Because of him, the dad's dead. Because of him, the daughter's
Yeah.
dead.
And
Now
he's
it's
standing right there.
Now it's the single mom with these 2 kids, and what the fuck is she gonna do?
Yeah.
She doesn't even have genius daughter going to Oxford to
Pride and joy.
become a millionaire someday.
But Spider-Man gets better.
Well,
Like-
that's just it. In this span of the last few minutes of the movie, you have him feeling horrible, him
For
not
how long?
being Spider-man. Well, it said it was 5 months or whatever.
I have no
that
idea.
they hadn't seen Spider-Man.
Because there's several seasons it changes.
Yeah, and then we get
Well, time in this movie is just as vague
true.
as everything else. I have no idea.
Yeah.
we get then
They skip Winter.
the gentleman.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Gentleman
Harry,
going
yeah.
to meet Harry, who's de-goblin-fied.
Yeah, Harry got better.
Yeah,
That's fine.
and then
don't worry about it.
Gentleman comes
we'll
in,
come up again.
talks to him. So yeah, we got this stuff.
And
down
the gentleman
there.
is just
And,
some fake character.
Where was the
And-
gentleman when this overthrow took over of the
Right.
board? Like, why wasn't this guy
Who is-
safeguarding everything?
Why is he? Why are they keeping this guy hidden?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then he was just like, hey, this stuff. And
Yeah, the Sinister Six stuff.
He was, I want to
basically.
keep the team small. Blah, blah, blah. I got some ideas. It's like, all right, go here. And you see him walking in that thing, and that's where that cut part of Norman's head is. But he's walking, and essentially you see the
Wings
Doc Ock
and
arms.
tentacles,
Yeah, the
yeah.
Doc Ock arms, the vulture wings.
Yeah.
You see
The rhino
the
suit.
rhino suit. All that. And then cut to...
Aunt May, right?
What was she? What's that part?
Well, she basically tells Peter to get back out there. It's the extent of Amazing Spider-Man 2, which
Yeah.
I mean, I have to reference Raimi films in this because this is my favorite moment in any superhero film, where Aunt May gives a speech of everybody loves a hero. You know, they scream their name, they stand in the streets. It's a beautiful speech.
Yeah.
It means so much.
She just made me miss Rosemary Harris to the point where I want to cry. I'm not even joking.
That was such a great performance. But here, it's trying to... just like how Uncle Ben never said,
It's another
with
point-
great power comes great responsibility, he talks around it. Aunt May
another
talks
time-
around the same thing.
It's another time where they take something from the movies, last movies, and try to
then
reinterpret.
distance, like we're using it, but we're not.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
don't think that we are.
So then,
You say talking around the iconic
Yeah.
quotes. They are writing around everything to the point, which is why this is so muddled.
yeah,
That's
there's
the
no
problem.
definition.
Yeah, like
that's the point of those quotes and things. It defines.
There was no decisiveness in from the creators of this thing.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
yeah.
But then we get
But then we finally get the middle section of this graduation speech that we we finally get to hear it, and it's like
It's
like,
basically a woman saying, I might die.
yeah.
Like, it's
We all
very
might die. We
obviously-
could die. I could die tomorrow. I might die a little bit from now.
I'm
I'm
gonna
definitely
make the
gonna
most
die.
of my
But
life the way it is, and then
I'm gonna
Peter's
live how I
like-
want.
I mean, and Peter's like, well, she like that's what's so ridiculous about it, about that graduation speech in general. Who would make that speech?
No one.
Yeah.
It's obviously just Roberto and Orchie and Kurtzman just being like, well, we have to have some,
Tie-in,
we need to have foreshadowing. We need to have something. We need to have her motivate him from the grave somehow.
Yeah.
Instead of it having it be something internal and personal, it has to be ham-fisted and in our face.
Yeah.
Because he obviously just sits there and does nothing but watch videos of Gwen from when she was still alive, because that's how he's coping with it.
Yeah.
And
It's a terrible way to cope with
and,
something.
and meanwhile, while he is being motivated and inspired by his dead girlfriend beyond the grave,
Here it is.
Rhino just decides to pin
Remember
him.
him from 3 hours ago?
Yeah.
Well, he's back and he's
he
in a
was here
costume.
for 2 minutes.
They broke him out of prison. They gave him the Rhino suit.
Give him a
because-
nonsensical
Because,
robot costume.
what does Oscorp or Dane DeHaan have to gain from just being like, we're just going to take all this proprietary technology and just give it to criminals and let's just see what happens?
He just wants to fuck shit up for Spider-Man. That's
guess.
all it is. There's no real reason. It's just like
New
well,
York
Spider-Man was
deserves a
dick
better
to me.
class of criminals.
Yeah, no shit.
My
Oh
best friend
God.
was, I think, a dick to me, so I'm gonna ruin his stuff by creating problems
Even
for him.
though I contributed to the death of his girlfriend.
Yeah.
That's
Contributed to it, yeah.
That doesn't-
he made a small contribution
This
to
doesn't
it.
make us even.
No.
You know, I
So-
still need to make it, and he still need to ruin this guy's
But,
life.
but Spider-Man's not there to set up the Rhino. So that kid, remember you were talking about Brodsho?
We get
that
the
one
biggest
kid?
barf moment ever.
Oh.
The part that if you didn't cringe your pants off, there's something wrong with
Hands
you.
up.
It's like, I was
That
not
little
up
kid
there.
that we saw earlier, that Spider-Man saved from the bullies, that was supposed to be like a reflection of himself, busts through. Once again, we got the friggin' wrestling match crowd again around the barricades,
standing there
watching. The
Okay.
little kid busts out.
And this is a,
And
this
the
is a
cops.
rhino. This is a rhino tank shooting
Gatling
Gatling guns at cops, and these bystanders are just like they're
Watching.
They're just watching. So they are in position to get hit by
Yep.
stray fire from ricochets.
Yep.
Like, I'm surprised there isn't more carnage. There should be
No
more
pun
carnage.
intended.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
And then
God, I
there's
didn't even
we'll
think
get
of
there
that.
next.
and then there's the kid who slips away from his mom
And
through
the
a hole in
cops
the
stop
barricade.
the mob.
Not
the cops
kid,
do
not the
nothing
kid.
to the
They
kid.
don't-
That
don't-
cop could have grabbed that kid
Easily.
And they don't do what cops normally should do.
Yeah.
Go in the line of fire to save an innocent person. They just hang the fuck back and it's
Right.
like, whatever's going to happen to this kid is going to happen. Let's just stay here. I don't want hot lead
It's like,
pumped into
They
me.
make the NYPD look like
Yeah.
such douchebags.
It's like, yeah, Mark Webb was taking notes from Ice-T. It's like he
Basically,
hates cops.
I hate cops.
And then the kid stands up there, and then we get more of Paul
Rhino
Giamatti's
just-
terrible accent.
Just like taunting this little
Yeah.
kid.
Who's this
And he-
Spider-Man?
And he's ready to probably kill this
Yeah, just
kid.
about.
You know, it's just
And then who shows up?
But real Spider-Man, who stops to talk to the kid.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I don't want to,
Yeah.
like, badmouth this, because, like, it's
Yeah.
one of the few, like, elements of joy in these movies
Yeah.
where Spider-Man talks to people nicely.
Yeah.
But it's so impractical.
Yeah.
Look
not
at
only-
what's behind you.
No shit. It's like if I was Giamatti, I'd have been like,
Oh.
his
Step
back's
on
turned.
him.
Yeah. Or at least
Yeah.
fucking charge the fuck up and start hitting shit.
Yeah.
No.
No, well, he didn't even have to do that. He just had to fire from distance.
Yes.
He just had to lay down some suppressing fire, and he probably would have killed them both.
Or at least a bunch of people.
Or
in
at
the
least a
background.
bunch of people.
Keep them distracted even
But
more.
yeah, like it's impractical. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that I wasn't on board with this movie at any point. Okay, and like when this happened, I was just like, "Fuck you, movie!
Yeah.
I am done." Like I was done
Yeah.
before, but I am double done now. I'm ready
Well,
to turn you off.
and
If I didn't know that you were almost over,
The
I
part-
would just stop.
The part that made me go, what, even more,
Yeah.
is the fact that that very last part of Spider-Man
Yeah, like-
grabbing the manhole cover or whatever,
That great special
slinging
money
around,
shot.
and about to swing it, that was in the trailer.
Yeah.
They literally
it
give you
ends
the
like
last, like,
frame
5 seconds of the
for
movie
frame. It was
in the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they tease that fight, and it never happened.
And here's the big problem I have with that. It ends mid-battle.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the Incredibles, like the Underminer shows up and they're got the masks on, they're getting ready to fight. That
Yeah.
symbolizes a never-ending battle. Like
Yeah.
they're always going to be heroes from
And
now
they're always
on.
going to be ready, and they're always
Yeah,
going to win.
This is just a cock tease.
mid-fight.
It's just a cock tease.
It's like, oh, we'll pick up here in 2 to 3 years when
Yeah.
you've stopped
Do you
caring.
think they're actually going to begin?
No.
Okay, but like
It's going to open with someone referencing how he took him out and he's back in jail or some shit.
okay,
And
because God damn it, this fucking movie.
Oh yeah.
one thing I will say I liked about this movie, well, to me anyway, it's probably the best Spider-Man costume we've had on film.
Yeah. No, that's one thing they did, because I hate how they did the eyes in the previous one.
Just the small. I
Yeah.
want.
It's more
big,
expressive.
The big bug eyes, yeah, and it adds some of
Yeah.
that innocent, lighthearted look to it.
Yeah,
so
it's brighter,
that is the one
colorful.
thing I really like.
Actually being willing to be a superhero costume.
Yeah.
And not something
To make it look
not,
more
not a
realistic.
more realistic militaristic
Yeah.
approximation of a superhero.
Not him
costume.
running around in body armor. And
Yeah.
nonsense.
Yeah. It
So
actually had
that
to be
was
something
good.
that a kid would want to wear.
Yeah.
You know.
And I mean, we mentioned a few scattered moments that were good and potential
Yeah,
this
exactly.
movie had.
Exactly.
And good people that were involved, but
The
really,
lights in the dark.
God, this was terrible.
This was yeah.
Like, people still defend it.
I don't know how you can.
You can't.
No matter how much you're disappointed by Spider-Man 3, I'm talking about Raimi again.
That's a conversation.
But see, we've left it out as much as possible.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, as much as people claim they hate Spider-Man 3, it at least was a movie. It told a cohesive story. The villains all tied together. They affected Peter's personal life.
The Sandman
it
villain
had a
setup was good.
Arc.
Yeah. There was goals.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it actually, like you had an arc, like you said.
Yeah.
It went like
the universe was defined. The supporting characters were defined. Yeah.
Everything was, concise. Everything was consistent for the most part.
It was a movie.
It was a movie.
Yeah.
This, like we said, like this is a movie trailer. Yeah. This has Iron Man 2 problems.
Yeah. This is like, hey, guess
Still,
what?
Again, Iron Man 2 was a movie. It functioned as a movie.
It's like, hey, guess what, guys? You'll see how all this gets fixed in Sinister 6 and Amazing Spider-Man 3.
Well, here's my question. Is Spider-Man going to be in Sinister 6?
Garfield's only going to do one more movie.
What the hell is Sinister 6 going to be about?
Bunch of villains you don't know, and the ones that come back are ones you don't give a shit about.
So we're rooting for the villains in this movie? What are they doing?
Nothing.
What the hell is this movie going to be about? Why is it being made?
What I would do if I had to make this movie in this universe, and I don't see this as a universe that you can expand on either.
No.
It's very limited.
No.
Yep.
It's not like Marvel or anything, but what I would think the only thing they could do is Spider-Man dies in Spider-Man 3, and Miles Morales or someone takes over.
But Avi Arad said, "No, nobody knows who that kid is. Screw that. We're just gonna keep Peter Parker around." Why?
I hate that idea.
Okay, but anyway, so
I don't.
I hate it.
Andrew Garfield is gone after 3, so he dies in 3.
The dude's gonna be friggin' mid-30s.
45, yeah. But, okay, so Sinister 6 is like, there's no Spider-Man anymore. What do we do? And it's an identity crisis, middle life crisis for these superheroes.
But isn't that supposed to happen before Amazing Spider-Man 3?
Like,
is it?
So far,
or is it after 3 and before 4?
Drew Goddard is doing it. Focus on Daredevil. You're talented, Drew Goddard.
Okay.
You shouldn't do this.
See, what is how many? That's the thing. It's like like you said, no villains have really been established outside of 2, 3.
Yeah.
If they bring
and nobody
Fox
liked
back,
and nobody liked
Fox will come back for this.
And nobody liked any of those 3.
Yeah. Like
there's no redeeming qualities.
Yeah, they're only making this because they feel like this is what they have to do.
Yep.
They don't have to do this. They should not do this. Mm-hmm. There's no reason for them to. They should just make Spider-Man 3 and then be done with it. Amazing Spider-Man 3 and just
or
walk
even
away.
don't make it.
Or even better, don't make it.
Or even better, the more than likely not true Max Landis tweets about Sony relinquishing rights to Marvel.
The thing is, they don't have anything else right now.
No,
I mean,
they don't.
Even Bond, but they have to. I mean,
they
MGM
sunk
gets money
all
for
that money into this, and it's not producing what they needed.
No, it's not correct. Okay, Amy Pascal, the president or whatever, Sony's like, this will pass $1 billion worldwide easily.
No,
fuck no. It'll get maybe $700 million, if that.
If a flagship title as Spider-Man will not work, how is a Venom or Secret 6 movie going to work? If an amazing...
Secret 6.
It's not Secret 6, I like them so much. How are those movies going to work when your tentpole in that franchise is not making the money it needs to?
Well, how's this for... this is...
really?
It's at $634 million right now.
Yeah.
And this is what's amazing. 461 of it came from foreign markets.
Yeah. Which, and people are like, foreign markets will save these movies. That's the audience we're doing it for now. They have to split the money with those foreign markets. Like, China is working to have tariffs to keep as much money as possible there. Yeah. Domestically is the best bet.
Yep, exactly.
Even though, it can be, they can salvage something, but you can't salvage something when you're spending close to what they've grossed so far.
And they have
just marketing.
Only 27.4% of the total this movie made was made domestically.
Yeah.
Only 173 million, almost 174, was made.
And half of it was made in the opening weekend.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, I mean, and X-Men's coming out. I mean, Godzilla will continue to do well.
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about
Mystique.
This.
Yeah, this movie ends with Mystique, right?
And and everyone's like, is this something just to make a cool, cohesive... No. You know why it happened.
Yeah.
Mark Webb was under contract with Fox to make 3 movies. He only made 1, I think. Didn't deliver on the other ones. and now was too busy making Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So Fox was like, hey, we'll let you out of this obligation if you pimp our movie at the end of yours.
Yeah.
That's all it was. There's nothing cool behind it. It was because, hey,
It won't be
you
in the
screwed us out of
DVD,
movies.
Yeah.
Throw this on here and we'll let you out of it.
Well, honestly, look at this movie. Did he screw them out? Like, I think
No.
Fox kept this
is
guy
fine
in a
with it.
contract. Like, it's your fault.
Fox stands to make way more with these.
This worked out great for Fox.
Yeah.
Because it's basically, it's like if you sat all the way to the end of this movie
for some reason,
if
you didn't leave before it was over.
I left,
and you were just like, "Oh God, what if I just watched?" And all of a sudden, there's just this. You talk about glimmers of light.
Yeah.
You get this tease of a glimmer of light of
Yeah.
a much better Marvel superhero movie coming out this summer that will not be like this.
No.
It will not have all the issues.
It'll
of
have
this
so
movie that
much
you
more
just
going
watched.
on, but we'll also have it be so much more easy to understand.
Well, okay, and they're basing it off a story. That's what I think they need to do, is like pick like Nothing Can Stop the Juggernaut or Kraven's Last Hunt, where it's like, okay, here's a story that we could make into a movie.
But even if the story is only like 2 issues long, really.
Yeah, but still.
It's like you could still try and make a movie out of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, adapt
But it's
it.
like, what is this story? It's like it's you talk about cliches and and being generic. There's nothing that anyone there's nothing for anyone to invest in.
No.
Apart from the relationship between two actors.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which
That's the only thing people are talking about.
Yep.
Because everything else, even the action sequences, even the special effects from this movie, are just forgettable and don't matter. Nothing this web. Like if this movie was a metaphorical web, the spider that made this thing,
web
is genetically like bad. Like his web spinner doesn't work completely.
Yeah.
He's cross-eyed somehow.
Missing a chromosome.
Yeah, he's a retard spider, and he made the shittiest web ever. And yet this thing's gonna make $1 billion. This thing's gonna save Sony Pictures. No, this is gonna sink that company.
Yeah, if they keep going, like I mean, with the way diminishing returns,
Unless they put it in someone else's hands.
Yeah.
Because Mark.
I think they need a creator they can trust.
This is definitive.
Webb and Garfield are there through 3, and that's it.
This is definitive, though. Webb is not the guy.
No.
I don't know why they picked him to be the guy.
He is
not a super. He is not.
Yeah.
He is not an action movie director.
Mm-hmm.
He is not a comic book movie director. He's
not a big
superhero.
epic guy.
No, it's like, and granted,
Make small films.
Music videos.
you can get your bones by making that movie, like Bryan Singer did. Bryan Singer has shown himself to be a guy who understands how this needs to be be done.
He hasn't since 2003. That's why I'm nervous.
He was going to direct First Class.
Yeah.
But then he made Jack the Giant Killer instead.
Slayer.
Whatever it was. Killer is the Asylum version of that.
Yeah.
But he still wrote it, or he wrote the story. He produced it. Like he guided that as best as he could. And now from what we've seen about
Days of Future
Days of
Past,
Future
it's in the
Past,
90s.
damn, this guy is.
This
figured
is how I
out.
felt in the first 2 X-Men movies.
Yeah.
This isn't on our
Or
list.
even a Feige or a Nolan or something.
All those guys.
Bruce Timm,
those guys figured it out. Those guys,
Avi Arad just stuck in his shit.
Nolan wasn't a superhero director until he just tried to do it.
Yeah.
It's like
some would argue that those weren't superhero movies.
You
too.
could say that.
Movies, yeah.
You could definitely say that. It's like, so why the hell did this guy get picked? Who else could have been there to do it besides Mark Webb?
Yeah, just a whole lot of people. Yeah, I'm trying to think of who hasn't done a superhero movie at this time. Then.
Because and who was even on the market at that point back in 2011, 2010 when they were deciding on who to do the first one. It was slim pickings, I'm sure, but it's why pick this guy?
That's true.
It's at least
they weren't in that much of a rush
with
either.
Godzilla. They were like, "Whoa, this guy made a
monster movie.
This guy made a really intimate, interesting monster movie,
dude.
And he did it with nothing. Yeah. This guy, let's give him all the money we can, and then we got Godzilla out of the deal.
Yeah.
And then you have, what's his name?
dude who did District 9.
Yeah, Neil Blomkamp. But granted, he's doing his own things.
Yeah.
I'm talking about guys who are being entrusted.
But
it's not
here's
stuff.
Our very important franchise. Take it and do something with it.
Case in point, Marvel saying, "Hey, we want someone to guide all of this. We're going to give it to a dude who not only knows nerd culture." But knows comics, has written them, knows how that effective storytelling with these characters. Let's give it to Joss Whedon. That worked. Why Mark Webb?
I can't answer that honestly.
I think that's a mystery. We'll
I think after this movie, he has proven that he should just be fired. It's buy him out of the contract.
It's poorly directed.
No,
I mean,
they don't have the money to buy him out of the contract.
Unfortunately,
they're set with him until 3's done.
And who's writing Amazing Spider-Man 3? That's another question.
Same people.
Is it really the same people?
It can't be the same
already in the can.
It can't be the same because Orchie and Kurtzman aren't working together anymore.
Oh, that's true. Or I thought they were, maybe.
No, because Kurtzman's going on to do something else. He left Star Trek because he didn't like the way Orchie was starting to do stuff.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I mean, I think if we had a different director, we'd have an entirely different movie, and that was what we needed. Someone who had a take, who had could set up a universe.
I think they went with Webb because they wanted a more personal, whatever approach.
Maybe.
That's
Okay, so this is what's happening with the third one. I don't know. Goddard is just doing Sinister Six. Writing possibly.
See, he wouldn't be a bad choice.
Directing Venom.
Yeah, Kurtzman's directing Venom
with Orchie and Ed Solomon and Drew
Goddard.
But
I bet all of this changes.
They haven't said anything about Amazing Spider-Man 3. We don't know who is writing it. We don't know if the script is already in the can
just like before Spider-Man 3, it's like we're having 3 more Spider-Mans with Tobey Maguire and it's Raimi are signed on or going to do it. And there's an interview the day before Spider-Man 3 came out where Maguire's talking about he's excited about Spider-Man 4. And that changes.
Spider-Man 4 was on the table up until 2009.
Right before this was announced. So I think something has to change. They've got to react to this, or else the diminishing returns is going to be so great,
and that's going to sink Sony even more. They can't afford it.
But then again, they have to keep the rights somehow.
Yeah, but it's
they can't afford it.
And
they don't make money off of the mercidise.
They went for
That's
the people,
true.
Disney gets it.
They went for the people who could just deliver quickly. And it has not
like
worked
Zack
out
Snyder.
For them. Yeah.
No, we'll get to that.
See,
that's a different podcast.
I have faith in that man.
Okay.
I have faith in that man. He got podcast for another time.
Yeah.
It's it worked for me.
But we should probably wrap this one up because
anything else?
It's got a long time. I think this is all you can say about this movie.
Which is funny because
see
all you can say we put in about as long as the movie was. 2 hours, 19 minutes.
And I think is more entertaining and made more sense.
Yeah.
Even though I still don't think we made this movie make any sense.
No,
because you can't. It's not possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we'll be back with another podcast next week, and whenever this gets released. And thank you.
We'll see. Yeah.
This was a pleasure.
Indeed.
Good job, man.
Yes. Good job, everyone. Great job.
Now go home, or if you already are home, because you're listening.
Yeah.
Just watch anything but this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Watch Electra.
Watch Spider-Man 2. Yeah.
Watch Electra instead of this. I own it. Same reasons I said earlier.
It looks good on a shelf.
Yeah, exactly.
Good night.
Thank you.